what's funny? Everyone imagines Christmas as this cozy postcard. Twinkling lights, cinnamon cookies, kids in reindeer pajamas fighting over hot chocolate. But let's rewind a couple centuries. Instead of shiny glass balls on your Christmas tree, imagine Grandma proudly hanging a dead robin. Yes, an actual stiff, feather-matted, rigor-mortised bird dangling by the neck. Nothing says Merry Christmas like a taxidermy graveyard hanging above your presents. And before you go, that can't be true. Oh, it is. Because before Hallmark sold us glittering ornaments, families used what they had, real winter trophies, and nothing screamed winter survival more than a little corpse with feathers. By the way, if you're still hanging baubles instead of tiny dead sparrows, you should probably subscribe right now, because clearly you're missing the real Christmas spirit. And while you're at it, check the pinned comment. There's a Christmas calendar waiting for you, no dead animals included. Unless you're into that, then maybe. So here you are, staring at the Christmas tree in your living room. It looks normal, right? Pine needles prickling your hands, the faint smell of resin and dust from that box you dragged out of the attic. But imagine that same tree 200 years ago. Instead of glittering lights, you'd have wax candles, threatening to set your house on fire with every little draft. And instead of plastic ornaments, someone's uncle is proudly pinning a bird carcass to a branch, wings spread out like it's mid-flight. The smell isn't pine sweet anymore, it's, well, imagine damp feathers, maybe a little decay, mixed with smoke from dripping candle wax. Congratulations, you've officially entered authentic Christmas. Your modern brain is screaming, why? Why would anyone decorate with dead birds? Easy. Birds symbolized winter. They were signs of survival, of hunting, of nature's cycle freezing and thawing. Killing one and turning it into an ornament wasn't creepy back then, it was festive. Like, look everyone, I braved the frozen forest and brought back this crunchy little blackbird. Let's hang it next to the nativity scene. The kids probably clapped. The same kids who today whine because their iPad battery died. You see the irony, right? And here's the kicker. People didn't even think this was morbid. Imagine great-great-grandma humming carols while tying twine around a bird's stiff neck. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, partridge hanging on the tree. The family dog probably circling underneath, sniffing at the wings. The whole thing looked less like a holiday and more like a forensic display. And yet back then, it was normal. Now picture this. You wake up in the middle of the night. The candles on the tree have burned low, shadows crawling across the walls. The bird ornaments are swaying slightly, creaking against the branches, their glassy little eyes catching the glow, like they're watching you. The house is silent except for that faint wax drip and the tick of the clock. You try to close your eyes, but you swear you can hear something, like wings fluttering. Only the birds aren't supposed to flutter anymore, right? That's the line between cozy tradition and nightmare fuel. And Christmas used to love walking it. Fire hazards? Sure. Carcasses as decorations? Why not? Singing songs about a fat man breaking into your house at midnight. Perfect. It's funny how nostalgia sanitizes everything. We look back at old-fashioned Christmas and imagine warm, snowy cottages. But if you really time-traveled, you'd be surrounded by wax smoke, burning trees, and rotting birds. Romantic, huh? And yet, part of you is curious, isn't it? What would it actually feel like to stand in that room, to run your hand across a branch and feel brittle feathers instead of shiny plastic, to breathe in that sickly sweet blend of pine and decay? Maybe, just maybe, your brain starts to twist it, not as gross but as strangely beautiful. A symbol of winter's brutality wrapped up in the glow of firelight. Because that's what Christmas was always about. Death and survival, hope and darkness. Santa only came later to sugarcoat the whole thing. So let's say you're standing there, staring at this tree of death. Your parents are proud, your neighbors are jealous, and you can't shake the feeling that every single bird is staring back, because you know what they say, dead birds don't sing, but they sure know how to haunt. And if you listen closely, closer than you should, you'll hear it. A faint scratching in the branches, not from the cat, not from the wind, from something that doesn't want to stay just an ornament. You think I'm exaggerating? Then tell me, why is it that even with your cozy LED lights and fake plastic baubles, your tree still seems to whisper at night? Why do you feel watched when the room is empty, when the shadows stretch just a little too far? Maybe those old traditions never died out. Maybe we just replaced the corpses with shiny distractions. But the tree remembers, it always remembers. And if you wake up one December night and hear wings in the dark, don't say I didn't warn you. Because after all, what's more Christmassy than sitting by the fire, sipping hot cocoa, and realizing your ancestors literally celebrated by hanging death in their living room? Sweet dreams. You sit there, trying to convince yourself it's just a story. Dead birds on a Christmas tree, quirky history, nothing more. But then your brain starts replaying the image, doesn't it? That stiff robin, head tilted at an unnatural angle, feathers frozen mid-rustle. You imagine touching it, your fingertip brushing against brittle wings that crumble like dry paper. You pull your hand back quickly, but too late, because now the smell is in your head. Not the cozy pine you're used to, but something faintly sour, like damp soil mixed with old meat. And suddenly, the shiny plastic ornaments hanging in your living room look cheap, artificial, as if you've been cheated out of the real Christmas experience. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Our ancestors thought they were doing something symbolic, something spiritual even. Birds represented the passage of time, the fragility of life, the fact that winter could wipe out entire villages. Hanging them on a tree was like saying, "We've conquered nature, we've survived another year." But imagine being a child in that house. You stumble down in the middle of the night to sneak a cookie, only to find the tree looming in the dark. Shadows of wings stretched across the wall, claws sticking out between branches. You'd stand there, frozen, clutching your crumbly cookie, wondering why the decorations looked more like trophies from a nightmare than holiday cheer. And then there's the silence. Modern Christmas is noisy. Songs, commercials, laughter echoing off the walls. But back then, just the crackle of firewood, the hiss of wax dripping onto pine needles, and the faint creak of twine holding up each bird. A silence so deep you could hear your own heartbeat. And in that silence, even the smallest sound, like the snap of a twig or the flutter of wings, would feel enormous. Tell me that wouldn't make you choke on your cookie. Now here's the twist. Some families didn't stop at birds. Oh no. They added small mammals too. Squirrels, mice, sometimes even frogs dried and stiffened in the cold. A tiny forest graveyard dressed up in candlelight, right in the center of your home. Imagine unwrapping your present under that. You're kneeling on the floor, tearing open brown paper, and just above your head is a squirrel hanging upside down, its glassy eyes catching the candlelight. Merry Christmas, Timmy. Hope you like your handmade wooden soldier. Try not to make eye contact with the rodent above your scalp. It sounds insane now, but here's the real kicker. The Victorians loved this. They leaned into the macabre like it was fashion. Taxidermy wasn't weird, it was trendy. People decorated their parlors with stuffed foxes playing poker, owls holding tiny books, kittens posed like little humans. So why wouldn't that obsession bleed into Christmas? The holiday wasn't about coziness yet. It was about spectacle, about showing off what you could kill, preserve, or display. Your Christmas tree wasn't just decoration. It was proof that you had conquered the wilderness and dragged it indoors. And yet something about it lingers. Even now, with all our sanitized traditions, the creepy undertone hasn't disappeared. Think about it. The Christmas tree itself is a chopped-down corpse. We bring it inside, stand it up, and watch as it slowly dies in our living room. Needles drying out, branches drooping, sap leaking onto the floor. And what do? We decorate the corpse. We hang glitter on death and call it festive. Different century, same ritual. The only difference is that now the corpses we hang are shiny glass spheres instead of actual sparrows. But the idea? Still just as weird. Picture this. You're dozing off on the couch after too much mulled wine. The lights on your modern tree twinkle softly. You're half asleep, warm, cozy. Then a branch creaks. Not from the weight of plastic, but something heavier. You sit up, blinking, and in the half-dark, you swear you see a shape that isn't supposed to be there. A wing stretched too wide, a claw curling around a branch. You rub your eyes, telling yourself it's just the shadows. But deep down, some ancient part of your brain whispers, the old ways never really left. And that whisper? It gets louder the longer you stare. The ornaments don't shine, they glimmer like eyes. The shadows don't sit still, they twitch just slightly, like something is moving. And the smell. For just a second you swear it's not cinnamon or pine. Its feathers, damp and sour, curling into your nostrils. You blink and everything's normal again. But is it? Or did you just catch a glimpse of what Christmas really used to be? You want to laugh it off. You tell yourself, It's fine, it's modern, it's safe. No one's hanging corpses in their living room anymore. But you know that feeling you get when the lights are off and the tree is the only thing glowing in the corner of the room? That little shiver down your spine when you look too long waiting for the ornaments to move? Yeah, that's not new, that's muscle memory. That's your DNA remembering what it was like when Christmas trees weren't cozy. They were shrines of death dressed in candlelight. So maybe, just maybe, you're not imagining it. Maybe every tree carries a little of that old magic, that old horror. You decorate, you sing, you pretend it's all safe. But when the house is dark and the branches creak and the lights flicker, you can't help but wonder, what if the birds come back? Not alive, not dead, something in between. And if you hear wings flutter in the silence of December midnight, you won't be the first. And you definitely won't be the last. Sweet dreams. So you think you're safe because your Christmas tree is modern, right? Plastic ornaments from the supermarket, a pre-lit pine from the hardware store, maybe even a timer that shuts it off so you don't burn down your house. How civilized, how sterile. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You've only buried the weirdness under tinsel. The ritual hasn't changed. Every year, millions of people drag a corpse or a fake corpse into their home, dress it up, circle around it, and sing songs to it. Imagine explaining that to someone who's never seen Christmas. Yes, we kill a tree, bring it inside, cover it in shiny objects, and then we worship around it while chanting repetitive melodies. Sounds less like a holiday and more like a cult, doesn't it? And if you've ever decorated one alone at night, you know the feeling. The branches scrape against your arm like they're alive, the ornaments swing when you didn't touch them, and the lights blink in uneven patterns like Morse code from another world. The whole thing feels wrong, too still, too quiet, like the tree is waiting for something. And maybe it is. Maybe it remembers the old days, when its branches held not glass but bodies, when people didn't just decorate it, they fed it sacrifices. Birds, mice, squirrels. Maybe your cozy little living room pine is offended. Offended that you've replaced flesh with plastic. Offended that you've forgotten what this ritual really costs. Imagine this. You wake up at 3 a.m., the universal hour of regret and nightmares. The house is silent. Too silent. You stumble to the living room to grab a glass of water, and there it is, the tree, looming in the corner, half in shadow. You pause because something's different. The air feels thicker, heavier, like walking into a basement. The needles smell sharper, almost metallic, like sap mixed with iron. You lean closer. The ornaments are swaying gently, but there's no draft. You squint, trying to focus on the shiny glass balls, and for a split second you don't see reflections, you see eyes. Beady, black, unblinking eyes. Watching you. Your chest tightens. You tell yourself it's nothing, just sleep deprivation. But then, scratch. Soft, deliberate. Not the pop of wood, not the hum of wires. A scratching sound coming from inside the tree, branches shifting ever so slightly, as if something is crawling between them. You lean in, stupidly, like every horror movie protagonist who dies first. The needles brush your cheek, the smell of damp feathers floods your nose, and then you hear it. A flutter, a wing beat. But it's not coming from outside, it's inside the tree. You stumble back, heart racing, but the tree doesn't move. The lights twinkle innocently. The ornaments hang in place. Everything looks perfectly normal, and that's the worst part, because you know what you heard, you know what you smelled, and deep down, you know what's waiting just beneath those branches. Something old, something feathered, something that used to be part of Christmas before we replaced it with shiny distractions. Here's a fun fact to soothe your nerves. In some parts of Europe, they believed birds were messengers from the other side, souls of the dead flitting between worlds. Catching one and hanging it on your tree wasn't just decoration, it was insurance. Insurance that the dead would watch over your family through the darkest nights of winter. You weren't decorating, you were bargaining, trading life for safety. Cozy, right? Bet that detail didn't make it into your Hallmark movies. So when you see a robin perched on a snowy branch outside your window this December, don't smile too wide. Because if history is anything to go by, that little bird isn't just a bird, it's a reminder, a messenger. And if it taps its beak against the glass, you better hope it's just hungry. Because if it wants in, it's not seeds it's after. It's a place on the tree. And suddenly, Your cozy holiday tradition doesn't feel so cozy anymore. You thought you were escaping the darkness with twinkling lights and plastic ornaments, but the darkness remembers. The tree remembers. And if you're very unlucky, the birds remember too. Sleep tight. You try to laugh it off. You tell yourself you're imagining things. Trees don't scratch, ornaments don't stare, and dead birds don't flutter. But when you finally crawl back into bed, the silence feels loaded. Every creak of the house becomes suspicious. The radiator hissing. No, that sounded like wings. The wind outside. Or was it claws against glass? You pull the blanket higher, convincing yourself that sleep will fix everything. But that's when the dream begins. You're standing in front of the Christmas tree again. Only now it's taller, much taller. Its branches stretch all the way to the ceiling, maybe even higher, disappearing into shadows you can't see past. The ornaments are gone. In their place, feathers. Hundreds of them, black and glossy, swaying like fur in the breeze. You reach out because of course you do, and the feathers feel wet. Not damp, not soft, wet, sticky. You pull your hand back and it's smeared with something dark. You don't want to look, but you do. Blood, fresh. And that's when you realize the feathers aren't ornaments. They're alive. Hundreds of birds crammed into the branches, eyes closed, breathing shallow, like they're all asleep at once. Waiting. You back away, but the tree shifts. The branches groan, creaking, tilting toward you like arms reaching. You hear the flutter now, but it's muffled, like wings pressed too tight to move. Then, as if on cue, every eye opens. Hundreds of black eyes snapping wide at the exact same second, all staring at you. The silence breaks, not with a scream, but with a chorus of tiny, sharp clicks, beaks opening and closing in unison. And just when you're sure they're about to explode out of the branches and swallow you whole, you wake up. Except waking doesn't help, does it? Because your room is dark, the tree is still downstairs, and you're suddenly not sure if the dream stopped when you opened your eyes. You lie there listening. The house groans, the clock ticks, and in between those sounds, you hear it. The faintest click, beak against beak, somewhere below you, in the living room. Here's the thing. Nightmares are easy to dismiss when it's July, but December nights are heavy. The dark comes early, the air is thick, and even your own breath feels too loud. Your ancestors knew this. They didn't hang birds on trees just for fun. They were trying to appease the darkness, to bribe it. Dead things ward off worse things, and if you've ever stared too long into your own Christmas tree, felt that tiny itch in your spine, you know what I'm talking about. It's not just decoration. It's an altar, and altars demand offerings. Maybe that's why the old traditions never completely disappeared. Sure, we swapped feathers for glass, claws for glitter, but the instinct stayed the same. We still bow to the tree, circling it like worshippers. We still place gifts beneath it, as if making sacrifices. We still light it with fire, even if that fire is hidden inside wires and bulbs. It's all the same, just disguised. You call it holiday cheer. The tree calls it what it's always been, devotion. And if devotion falters, well, that's when things get messy. That's when you hear the scratching. That's when the ornaments start to swing, even though no one touched them. That's when the birds stop being symbols and start being visitors. And once they visit, they don't always leave. Picture this. Christmas morning. You're opening presents, tearing paper, laughing with family. The tree glows warmly, the lights reflecting off glass baubles. Everything feels safe, but then you notice one ornament that wasn't there before. A small bird, its feathers stiff, wings spread like it's frozen mid-flight. You laugh nervously. Must be some rustic decoration you forgot about, until you lean closer. The feathers are real. The smell hits you, sharp, earthy, unmistakable. And just like that, you realize the tradition never ended. It just chose to start again. With you. Your family doesn't see it. They don't notice the dead thing hanging there. They keep laughing, tearing paper, sipping cocoa, but you can't take your eyes off it. And the longer you stare, the more you swear it's breathing. Just slightly. Just enough to keep you from looking away. That's the moment you realize Christmas isn't cozy. It never was. It's a pact. And the decorations you thought were harmless, they're just masks, waiting to slip. Merry Christmas. The worst part isn't the dream. The worst part is how the dream follows you when you're awake. You try to shake it off, make breakfast, pour coffee, scroll your phone, but every shadow looks suspicious now. You glance at the tree out of the corner of your eye, and it feels like it's leaning, just a little, like it's closer than it was yesterday. You blink and it's normal again, but the unease doesn't leave. It sticks, like sap on your fingers that won't wash away no matter how hard you scrub. You tell yourself you'll ignore it. Just don't look at the tree. Simple. But then you notice the smell. Subtle at first, faintly sour, buried under the pine. You convince yourself it's the trash, or maybe the dog dragged something in. You clean, you vacuum, you light a cinnamon candle, and yet the smell lingers. Damp, feathery, like the underside of wings after rain. You tell yourself you're imagining it, but your nose knows better. It gets worse at night. You sit in the living room with only the glow of the tree lights. Everyone else is asleep, the house still. That's when you notice it. The silence isn't empty. It's full. Like the tree is humming just below the edge of hearing. Not music, not electricity. Something alive. The lights flicker slightly, not enough to be broken, just enough to feel intentional. As if the tree is breathing in rhythm, hiding its inhale in the pulse of the bulbs. Your eyes wander up the branches, ornament by ornament. The shiny spheres reflect your face. But sometimes, just sometimes, you swear the reflection lags. Your mouth moves, but the glass version of you is a second too late. And behind your reflection, a shadow. Small, hunched, winged. You whip your head around, scanning the room. Nothing. Just the tree, glowing softly, innocent as ever. But here's the part you can't explain. One ornament keeps moving, just one. A plain red ball near the middle. It swings gently, back and forth. No draft. No one touched it. Back and forth, like a pendulum marking time. You lean closer, trying to see if the hook is loose. That's when you notice the surface. It isn't smooth, it isn't glass, it's feathers. Pressed flat, lacquered into a sphere. Your throat goes dry. Because suddenly you realize it isn't an ornament at all. It's an eye. You stagger back, blinking, and it's gone. Just a red ornament again, smooth, glossy, harmless. But the image won't leave your head. That sick certainty that something watched you through that glass. Something small, something dead. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the ornaments are disguises, not decorations but vessels. Shiny shells hiding what's really inside. Little prisons for things that never should have been invited in the first place. And every December, you hang them willingly, one by one, never realizing you're sealing deals older than your bloodline. You laugh nervously. You're spiraling. Too many horror movies, too much mulled wine. But then, you hear it again. Scratch. A single sharp scrape from inside the tree. You freeze, holding your breath. Nothing. You exhale. Then, flutter. Faint, but real. You're not dreaming. You're not asleep. Something is inside the tree. You take a step closer, heart pounding. The needles tremble, ornaments rattling softly as if stirred from within. Your hand hovers, trembling, ready to push the branches aside. But before you touch it, click. That sharp, unmistakable sound. A beak snapping shut. Your whole body goes cold. You back away slowly, never turning your back on the tree. Upstairs, your family sleeps peacefully, oblivious. You could wake them, you could scream, but deep down, you know they won't believe you. They'll laugh, tell you it's stress, holiday nerves. They'll pat your shoulder, hand you cocoa, and sit you right back down in front of the tree. And the tree will wait, patient, silent, until you're alone again. That's how it works, isn't it? The old traditions were never forgotten. They were just hidden. And now the tree has decided to remind you. The only question left is, how far will it go this time? You think about telling someone, just blurting it out over breakfast. Hey, I think there are birds living inside the Christmas tree. But the moment you imagine saying it, you already hear their response. Laughter, a slow headshake, maybe even concern. Are you sleeping enough? Have you been drinking? Nobody's going to believe you. Not when the tree looks so perfectly normal in the daylight, ornaments glittering, pine needles sparkling, the whole thing straight out of a postcard. No one but you can feel the wrongness. And isn't that worse? To carry the knowledge alone? To sit at the dinner table pretending everything is fine, while the thing in the corner watches you with a patience older than any holiday carol? You try to test yourself. You sit across from it during the day, notebook in hand, determined to prove you're not losing your mind. The rules are simple. Watch the tree, write down what happens. Hours pass. Your pen scratches the page with dull observations. Ornaments steady. Light steady, no sounds. You feel ridiculous, until the very moment you let your eyes drift, just for a second. When you snap your gaze back, something has changed. An ornament is missing. You flip back through your notes. Wasn't there a silver bell near the top branch? You rush forward, scanning, searching. Gone. Completely gone. You check the floor, the couch cushions, under the tree skirt. Nothing. As if it never existed. You tell yourself ornaments fall off all the time, but you can't shake the feeling that the tree ate it, swallowed it whole like a test, a warning, a little reminder of who's really in control. That night, the smell returns stronger. No cinnamon candle can mask it now. Damp feathers, old earth, the faint tang of iron. You lie in bed staring at the ceiling, praying for silence. But the silence doesn't come. Instead, it's replaced by the soft, steady sound of wings beating. Not frantic, not loud, just slow, methodical. Coming from downstairs, your body locks up. You want to run, scream, throw open the front door and drag the tree out onto the street. But you don't move, because part of you knows it won't help. The tree isn't just wood and branches anymore. It's a doorway. And whatever is beating those wings inside, it won't stop just because you move it. If anything, it might follow. By morning, you're pale and restless. Your family notices, but their concern feels shallow, rehearsed. They talk over you, laugh over you, and every time your eyes drift toward the tree, you feel them watching you too. Not in sympathy, not in understanding, more like suspicion, like they know, like they're hiding something. You start to wonder if the blindness is real, or if they've already been claimed. That's when the whispers begin, faint at first, like wind whistling through branches. But the longer you listen, the clearer they become. Not English, not any language you recognize, just a chorus of tiny, high-pitched murmurs, weaving in and out of each other, coming from deep inside the needles. You press your palms to your ears, but it doesn't help. The sound is inside your skull, threaded into your thoughts, growing louder every second you resist. You break. You lunge at the tree, clawing at the branches, ripping ornaments off, throwing them to the ground. The lights tangle around your arms. The needles stab into your skin, but you don't stop. You dig deeper and deeper, desperate to tear the thing apart, to expose whatever's hiding inside. Your family bursts into the room, shouting your name, grabbing your arms, pulling you back. But you don't hear them, you only hear the flutter, louder now, furious, explosive. When they finally drag you away, the tree looks untouched, perfect, every ornament exactly where it should be, not a branch out of place. They scold you, call you hysterical, warn you to get some rest. And you nod, because fighting them won't work. But deep down you know the truth. The tree fixed itself. It wanted you to try. It wanted to show you how pointless resistance is. And now you're trapped, because you can't destroy it without looking insane. You can't run without abandoning everything you love. And you can't ignore it anymore, not with the smell, the scratching, the whispers that thread through your thoughts like barbed wire. You're the only one who sees, the only one who knows. And maybe that was the point all along. By now, sleep isn't an option. Every time you close your eyes, you're back inside that impossible tree, drowning in feathers, branches curling like ribs, whispers crawling into your ears. You wake up gasping, drenched in sweat, your sheets twisted like a straitjacket. And the worst part, the dream bleeds into daylight. You catch yourself staring too long at the walls, swearing you see shadows flit across them. You avoid mirrors, because every reflection carries something you don't want to admit is real, something with wings, perched just behind your shoulder. Your family's concern has shifted. It's no longer, "Are you okay?" but "You need help." Their smiles don't comfort you anymore. They look stretched, stiff like ornaments themselves, hung on faces that aren't quite alive. They laugh at the wrong moments, blink too slowly, their eyes catching the Christmas lights with a strange, glassy sheen. You start to wonder if they've always been like this, or if the tree replaced them when you weren't looking. You test them. You ask questions that sound harmless. Do you hear that scratching at night? Does the tree smell strange to you? Every time, they shake their heads too quickly, too rehearsed. Their voices soften, patronizing like they're humoring you. But behind their smiles, you swear you hear it. The faint click, click, click of beaks. Not from the tree this time. From their throats. So maybe you're alone. Or maybe you're the only one left. Either way, the paranoia sinks its claws deeper. You can't leave the house anymore, not with the tree standing guard in the living room, branches spread like a net. You imagine stepping outside only to feel the needles wrap around your ankle, dragging you back in. You imagine the neighbors staring as you're pulled screaming into your own front door. But their faces don't change, because maybe they already know. Maybe every house on the street hides a tree like yours, and every family is already gone. The whispers grow bolder. They don't hide under the sound of the television or the hum of the fridge anymore. They spill into every moment of silence, filling your head like static. Sometimes you catch a word, not English, not human, but it coils around your thoughts with a meaning you feel in your bones. Stay, obey, become. You try to drown it out with music, with noise, but even songs twist into something else when the tree is listening. Carols warp into chants. Silent night bends until it's not about peace but about surrender. And then the ornaments start to change. Slowly, subtly. A red ball darkens, its shine fading until it looks mottled like dried blood. A silver star droops, its edges curling like bone. You call your family into the room, desperate for them to see, but they just smile and nod. "Beautiful, isn't it?" one of them says. "Best tree we've ever had." Their voices sound hollow. Their eyes don't leave the branches. You don't eat much anymore. You don't sleep. You sit in the dark, watching. Every creak, every shimmer of movement pulls you tighter. And that's when you notice something new. The ornaments aren't just ornaments. They're faces, distorted, shrunken, stretched across glass. Tiny mouths frozen mid-scream, eyes wide with panic. You recognize one, then another. People you know, neighbors, strangers, maybe even someone you once loved. Their faces are trapped, flickering faintly like candlelight behind the glass. Your stomach turns. You stagger back, gagging, but the faces keep appearing, one after the other, filling every ornament, every shiny surface until the whole tree is alive with silent screams. And then, just for an instant, you see yourself, not your reflection, not a trick of the glass. You, already caught, already inside. You collapse to the floor, clutching your head, shaking, rocking like a child. You don't know what's real anymore. Maybe you never did. Maybe the tree isn't in your house. Maybe you're inside it. Maybe you've been inside it all along, circling year after year, believing you were decorating when you were only feeding it. The whispers don't argue. They don't soothe. They laugh. You stop fighting sleep. Not because you're tired, though you are, but because you've realized that staying awake doesn't help. The tree is there whether your eyes are open or shut. The whispers don't pause. The scratching doesn't fade. And in the dark hours, when the house is too still, you're not sure which version of reality is the dream anymore. Is it the world where your family smiles too wide and ornaments hold faces? Or the one where you're deep inside the tree, crawling through branches that never end? Maybe they're the same. Maybe they always were. You start to notice patterns. Every time the lights flicker, you hear the flutter. Every time the flutter comes, something in the room has changed. A picture frame is crooked. A chair is turned slightly. A shadow doesn't match the object that's casting it. Little shifts, little erasures. The world rearranging itself one flicker at a time, until the familiar isn't familiar anymore, and the tree is at the center of it. Not just a decoration, but a core, a spine, a heartbeat pulsing into the house itself. You sit across from it, staring, trying to count the lights. You never get the same number twice. Sometimes there are 37, sometimes 82, sometimes more than you can count before they blur together into 1,000 tiny eyes. You blink, and the room is pitch black except for 2 lights, twin pinpricks hovering at the center of the branches. Watching, waiting. You tell yourself to look away. You try, but your eyes snap back, pulled like magnets. The whispers climb higher, faster, until they're almost words you can understand. You lean forward, straining, desperate to catch meaning, and that's when the voices fall silent. Completely. Not gone. Waiting. Waiting for you to speak back. Your throat tightens. Against your will, your mouth opens. No sound comes, but your tongue moves, forming shapes you don't recognize. The words scrape out of you like splinters, alien and jagged, yet horribly natural. The moment they're free, the room shudders, the lights flare, and deep inside the branches, something shifts. Something enormous. Something that's been listening all along. The smell floods the air. Not pine, not cinnamon. Rot. feathers matted with blood, sap boiling into tar. You gag, covering your mouth, but it doesn't stop the stink from crawling down your throat. The ornaments tremble, rattling like teeth in a skull. Your family doesn't move. They sit frozen on the couch, faces slack, eyes glassy, smiles carved in place like porcelain dolls. Their mouths open in unison, too wide, too smooth, and from their throats comes the sound you've dreaded, the click, click, click of beaks snapping shut. You scream, you run, but where? The front door isn't there. The window isn't there. Only branches. Branches everywhere. You claw at them, needles digging into your skin, sap gluing your hands, but the more you fight, the more the house dissolves. Walls peel away, ceilings collapse, until you realize you're not in a house anymore. You're inside the tree. The branches stretch forever, twisting into a labyrinth, dripping with wax and feathers and faces. Your footsteps crunch on a carpet of bones, tiny skulls cracked and scattered like confetti. Shadows dart overhead, wings beating against the dark, and through it all the whispers rise again, louder now, clearer. They don't sound foreign anymore. They sound like family, like your own voice. You stumble forward, deeper and deeper, each step dragging you closer to the heart of it. The air grows hot, heavy, buzzing with something alive, and you understand finally why the old traditions never died, why the dead birds were hung year after year. It wasn't decoration, it was devotion. A pact older than language, a prison dressed in pine. You reach the center, the branches part, and there it is, a shape too big to see all at once, feathers stretched across eternity, 1,000 eyes burning in the dark, a beak like a blade, snapping shut with a sound that rattles your ribs, the source of the whispers, the true spirit of Christmas. It leans closer. The heat of its breath scorches your skin, and when it speaks, it doesn't use words. It uses hunger. You don't feel the transformation start. It's too gentle, too polite, the way a winter draft sneaks under a door and pretends to be harmless. First, your fingertips tingle, pins slipping beneath the skin like needles testing bark. Then, the smell changes, less pine, more attic, feather dust and something metallic, like a spoon left too long in hot sap. You rub your hands and the sap refuses to leave, tacky threads pulling you back toward the branches with a lover's patience. The thing at the heart of the tree waits, measuring you like a tailor, amused that you still think clothes are optional. Your family sits nearby, blinkless, television lights sliding over their cheeks like frost. You try a joke, because humor is the last tool the helpless carry. If I sprout tinsel, please recycle. No one laughs. Somewhere deep in the boughs, a bell rings, except there's no bell, only a small skull knocking against glass like it wants to come out. You understand the offer when it arrives, not in words but in pressure. The room squeezing your ribs like a corset woven from vines. The pact is simple. Replace the make-believe with something honest. Hang what winter demands, or winter will hang you. The whispers sharpen into 1,000 tiny beaks pecking the same rhythm. Choose, choose, choose. You stall. You bargain. You offer strings of popcorn, slices of orange, cinnamon stars punched from dough. The branches teeter with theatrical boredom. A feather drifts down, slow as ash, and lands on your tongue. It tastes like pennies and cellar water, like a promise already signed. You spit, but the taste refuses to leave. The heart of the tree clicks once, approvingly, as if you just learned your first word. The humor dries up. Your skin tightens, a faint itch mapping your arms in invisible constellations. You scratch and a flake curls away. Not dead skin, but bark, thin and green, smelling of rain. You stare, then do the obvious stupid thing. You peel. Underneath, something glistens, veined and sap-sweet, and you finally admit the truth that's been pacing your skull for nights. You're being upgraded from worshipper to ornament. The lights hum brighter, a chorus of fake stars applauding your promotion. Your family claps too, palms meeting out of sync, like puppets learning rhythm. "Don't be scared," someone says, and the voice is wrong, echoed hollow, recorded on a tape stretched too many winters. It's festive. The word splinters in your ear and turns into feast. You ask the tree what it wants, because pretending you're in charge feels better than screaming. The answer arrives as temperature. The room warms, candles that aren't there dripping wax onto your wrists. You flinch, listening as the branches speak in smells. Frost, fur, feathers, iron. You see an old kitchen, a table, a woman binding a robin with twine, humming a song older than language. Not cruelty, the smell insists. Ceremony. Not murder, the heat replies. Memory. The scene collapses back into your living room, where the present has been expertly gift-wrapped as the past. You test a theory. If you refuse, the tree will take something anyway. You whisper no, tiny and childish, and every bulb on the string dies at once. Darkness claps over you. In the black, wings beat, closer, closer, until the sound is not in your ears but under your tongue. A breath grazes your lips, dry as parchment, heavy as apology. Yes, you say, because sleep deprivation and terror make excellent negotiators. The lights return, smug. The house pretends to be a house again, corners reassembling, doors remembering their hinges. Your legs move without permission, carrying you to the kitchen. The refrigerator hums, domestic as denial. You open a drawer and find twine, scissors, cloves, a needle you don't own. The shopping list on the counter has changed. Where it once said eggnog, it now says wings. Where it said cranberries, it now says eyes. Very artisanal, you mutter, because sarcasm is the only tool you've got left that still feels human. You wait for instructions, but the house is suddenly polite, letting you choose your method of surrender. You think of the old kitchen, the woman, the robin. You think of the faces in the ornaments, shimmering like held breath. You realize that maybe the tree doesn't want blood. Maybe it wants acknowledgement, tribute, the truth dressed in ceremony, so the neighbors call it tradition. You return to the living room with the twine, the needle, the cloves, and the courage you borrowed from exhaustion. The tree stands taller, or maybe you are smaller. Your family watches without blinking. You reach toward the branches, hand unsteady, and select the first offering. Not a creature, but a photograph from your pocket, edges soft with years, a winter afternoon where you smiled like you believed in uncomplicated futures. You thread the twine through the corner and hang the memory high where the heat rises. The tree accepts it with a sound like snow compressing under boots. The room exhales. For a breath, you believe you've won. That metaphor will satisfy appetite. Then the floor tilts, subtle as guilt, and a feather blooms from your wrist, white-edged in soot. Another sprouts at your collarbone, then another, a slow snowfall in reverse. Your family begins to sing, soft, cheerful, a carol about joy that rhymes with join. You back away, but the branches are everywhere. Needles press your spine. Sap seals your ankles. The heart of the tree opens like a pupil, wide and greedy, and the whispers rise into one sentence you finally understand. Hang yourself or we will help. You look at the photograph, the twine, the needle, your hands already feathered, and you do the bravest, pettiest thing you can imagine. You stall. One last song, you whisper, throat raw. One more tradition. The lights lower. The house leans in. Your family smiles too wide. You open your mouth to sing, and something answers back, but not with a voice you can hear. It answers with a pressure behind your ribs, a shove of cold air into the mouth of your stomach that tastes like old feathers and the punch of copper coins. You do not scream. There is no breath left for a scream, only the long, wet sound of something that used to be a song. The family sways like dancers waiting for a cue. Their smiles are fixed, porcelain curves in a room that smells of sap and old churches. You realize you are the only person in the room who remembers how to breathe. You step forward, because some small animal inside you still thinks forward is the same as escape. The twine slips through your fingers, rough as regret, and when you touch the nearest branch, the needles prick a map of stars into your palms. Not yet, a thought says, but you do not know if the thought is yours or borrowed from the wood. The tree breathes, and within that breath live decisions like teeth. It offers you alternatives, a memory, a token, a small thing to hold and hang so the house can be absolved. You lift your chin and choose the photograph again, though you could choose other things, a ring, a child's tucked sock, the brittle ticket stub to a movie where you wore someone else's courage. The photograph trembles between your fingers, edges soft with all the summers the world promised. You thread it through the twine, your hands clumsy with ritual, and when it lands among the highest branches, the tree inhales like a giant tasting a secret. Heat blooms from the center, a slow inclusional warmth that presses your teeth together. The lights dim and brighten in a pattern that feels cruelly like applause. For a heartbeat, the world is placid. Your breath returns like a gull allowed to fly after the nets are untied. You imagine waking the next day and finding that nothing changed. Presents wrapped, coffee steaming, the tree a silent giant ignorant of your little rebellion. But that is not how bargains work here. Barter with old things always carries small addenda. When you flex your fingers, they no longer move the same. Tendons whisper into wood, and a pale thread begins to lace across the back of your hand, then along your wrist. It looks like a bruise at first, then like a fine root, then like something formed of both and refusing to be anything you will call by name. In the reflection of a nearby bauble, you see your knuckles darkening, like rings of soil settling into your skin. The sensation is not painful, only inevitable, like winter's slow turning. Your family claps softly, as if to welcome you into a new room, and the tree's whispers sing through the bulbs. Join, join, join. You want to refuse, to spit and run, but the roots at your ankles pulse and your feet do not belong entirely to you. Movement is possible, but it is measured, like a puppet learning to walk again. A neighbor knocks at the door, polite, ready with a mince pie, a plea for warmth, small human exchanges to keep the world from folding in on itself. You move to answer, your legs working in slow arcs, and a voice inside the tree guides your fingers to the knob. It opens for you, though you did not remember asking permission. The neighbor smiles unaware, cheeks red with cold, holding that pie like an offering. "Merry Christmas," she says, and your mouth moves, echoing the words on autopilot. Behind her, the street is a smear of normal, lights, cars, footsteps. It all looks like something you might have once called home. She steps forward to hand you the pie, and your fingers brush hers, warm, alive, and it is like plugging into a current. For the briefest moment, the binding at your wrist loosens, like a knot being teased out. Hope, stupid and bright, flares. Then the tree remembers that bargains are contracts, and contracts have penalties. Something coils under the floor, and the neighbor freezes, pie halfway between two hands. Her smile hiccups into a rictus, eyes widening as if she has just seen a large and terrible bird cross the moon. She drops the pie, and you cannot stop the sound that comes from your throat. Something like a laugh and something like a crack. The pie splatters, sweet filling blooming like a wound on the doorstep. Neighbors who had been passing stop, drawn by the noise, and their faces are blank as if someone else had stitched their expressions in. One by one they turn, small, stiff movements like marionettes, and they lift their hands to their mouths, eyes wet with something like memory. You try to speak, to explain, to apologize, but your tongue is cotton, your words cut to useless shreds. The tree thrums, a low pulse you can feel through your feet, and with every beat the neighbors move closer, drawn like moths to a porch light. Hands reach in, not to help but to worship. Fingers brush branches, offering watches, scarves, last year's gloves. The crowd murmurs, and the sound is not language but appetite. Someone raises a child in a Santa hat, and the child smiles a way that does not belong to youth. Your hands lift because they must, because the cords at your wrists have teeth, and you do not want to test their patience. You take the child, and the crowd sings a ragged hymn that could once have been carols. Each note is a promise, and each promise costs. The child coughs, leaves a small feather in your palm, and you realize what you're doing. Trading pieces of yourself for a fragile piece, knitting an ornament of living things. The singing swells, and you find your voice, hoarse but serviceable, joining a chorus that smells like rain. The child in your arms feels lighter than air, as if bone and muscle were optional, as if the tree has already begun hollowing him out. You hold him tighter, but your arms don't belong to you anymore. They lift, they extend, and the crowd parts with reverence as if watching a priest present a relic. The branches bow forward, hungry, and before you can resist, the child is gone, swallowed into the needles, tucked away like a gift. The carol ends on a note so sharp it cuts the air in half, and then silence drips down the walls. You don't cry. The cords inside your skin will not allow it. Instead, you stand motionless, chest hollow, waiting for the next cue. That's when the tree shifts, not visibly. Its trunk doesn't move, the ornaments don't swing, but you feel it, a pulse of approval, a heartbeat too large to belong to wood. You've pleased it, just enough to buy another hour. And what is an hour worth? Everything when eternity is the alternative. Your family rises from the couch in unison, eyes cloudy, mouths twitching with a joy you know isn't theirs. They circle the tree like dancers, steps careful, heads tilted back as if awaiting snow. Their hands lift, palms up, fingers trembling with devotion. You want to shout at them, shake them, remind them they're people, not props. But the tree whispers first. A chorus of clicks fills the room, and suddenly your family's movements are no longer clumsy but graceful, their limbs swinging in perfect rhythm, puppets whose strings are woven from roots. You stagger back, but the needles brush your spine even though the tree hasn't moved an inch. Your body trembles, begging for escape, yet your feet remain planted, as if soil has been poured around your ankles. And then, for the first time, the tree speaks in something like language. Not clear, not human, but enough. The sound rattles your bones. Grow. The word isn't heard so much as carved. It cuts into your ribs, your marrow, branding itself into you like iron pressed into hide. You double over, clutching your stomach, and feel the heat of sap burning beneath your skin. When you lift your hands, sticky amber drips between your fingers. It smells sweet, almost pleasant, but the sweetness only makes you gag. The crowd claps, delighted, as if you've just given a perfect performance. You want to scream, but your voice is trapped beneath resin. Time collapses. Minutes, hours, meaningless. You stand at the tree's base, watching neighbors feed it. Some bring trinkets, watches, keys, old photos. Others bring living things, birds in cages, rabbits trembling, even a dog whose tail wags despite its fate. Each offering is swallowed by the branches, each followed by a silence heavier than the last. You try to look away, but your neck refuses. You try to shut your eyes, but the lids hold open. This is worship. This is ritual. And you are the priest who must bear witness. Your body changes in increments too small to deny but too constant to ignore. Bark climbs your arms in faint ridges, spreading like veins. Feathers push through your shoulders, molting and regrowing in frantic bursts. Your reflection in the window doesn't match your movements anymore. It lags, then leaps ahead, then smiles when you do not. You test it once, lifting your hand, and your reflection lifts both, fingers stretching into claws. You turn away, but the reflection lingers, pressed against the glass as if begging to be let out. You retreat into memory for refuge, sifting through childhood winters. Snow angels, hot chocolate, stockings stuffed with candy. But even memory betrays you. The snow is grey, heavy with ash. The stockings drip feathers. The angels don't look like angels at all. They look like shadows with wings too wide, faces too blank. Every happy thought is rewritten, overwritten by the tree until nostalgia itself becomes another weapon. You are not allowed escape, not even into your own mind. The whispers rise again, louder, more insistent. They demand not just offerings, but surrender. Hang, hang, hang. You look at your family, still circling, still chanting under their breath. Their eyes plead even as their bodies obey. You know the truth now. They are not captives. They are ornaments already. Souls shelved neatly among the branches, waiting for the tree to pluck them when it tires of the illusion of flesh. The realization slams into you like cold water. You're the last one resisting, and the tree doesn't forgive stragglers. You stumble to the kitchen, gasping for a weapon, a knife, an axe, anything sharp enough to wound. You grab the largest blade you can find, clutching it until the handle sticks to your sap-slick hand. For one heartbeat, you believe. You imagine driving the steel into the trunk, splitting the heart of the thing, freeing yourself and everyone else in one glorious rebellion. You storm back into the living room, knife raised, fury burning hotter than fear. But the tree is waiting. The moment you step closer, the branches sway, ornaments glint, and every single face inside them turns to look at you. Hundreds of tiny eyes widen in unison, lips frozen mid-scream. You see your parents, your neighbors, the child, yourself. The knife slips, not because you want it to, but because the sap in your hands hardens, gripping the handle until it shatters from the pressure. Metal fragments scatter across the floor like beads, harmless as confetti. You drop to your knees, trembling, and the branches bend low, brushing your cheek like a mother's hand. The whispers hush, replaced by one slow, heavy breath. You understand what it wants. Not rebellion, not destruction, continuation, growth, and now, your soil. Your family kneels beside you, perfectly synchronized, and together you bow your heads toward the heart of the tree. The ornaments sway gently, their faces glowing faintly, mouths opening as if to sing. And from deep inside the branches, that colossal beak clicks shut once, a sound so final it splits the night in two. The song begins, not with words, but with you, your chest vibrating with notes you don't understand, your throat pouring sap instead of air. The tree hums with you, satisfied, patient. You have not been devoured. You have been planted. And somewhere beyond the window, the rest of the street begins to sing too. Night folds over the street like velvet soaked in sap. Your windows reflect neighbors swaying, mouths parted, murmuring obedient hymns. Every house hums, a hive tuned to the same frequency. Decorations glitter like teeth, smiling because refusal has no jurisdiction. You step onto the porch, sap printing your feet bronze. The broken pie cools, steaming sugar ghosts into December air. Across the street, a siren dies before finishing its chorus. Police lights arrive, blushing trunks with authoritative carnival shame briefly. Two officers step out, faces bright until the humming grips. Their mouths open, but words curdle back into obedient silence. They kneel by your hedge, whispering like Sunday school children. You realize the hymn spread faster than fire ever could. Every bulb pulses, sinking hearts the way tides govern harbors. The tree inside whispers, pleased by citywide seasonal obedience tonight. You try prayer, but the prayer answers with hunger back. You try profanity, but the profanity flowers into carols anyway. The neighbors form lines, gifts cradled like infants, faces beatific. Someone brings a cage, feathers rattle like dice deciding destinies. You want to run, but your ankles bloom roots deeper. The streetlights bow, halos lowering to crown the neighborhood congregation. Distant choirs swell, every station broadcasting the same impossible refrain. Even the static harmonizes, like insects memorizing cathedral acoustics tonight. Inside, your family beckons, smiling with purchased treacherous gentleness again. You shake your head, and the wreath tightens its halo. A feather slips from your mouth, fluttering like reluctant confession. You swallow air tasting of attic coins and wet plumage. Thoughts arrive predigested, like worms hand-delivered to patient chicks waiting. The tree asks again, not speaking, only squeezing, hang something. You consider yourself briefly, but cowardice still remembers sunlight kindly. Instead, you choose history, because histories bleed without complaining much. You raid drawers, drag albums, spill photographs like molting seasons. Faces grin, distant, doomed. Paper rustles like leaves reconsidering gravity. Each photo hung slows the choir, never stopping it fully. Neighbors breathe easier, then lean forward, hungry for deeper tribute. The officers return, offering badges, guns, keys, finally themselves kneeling. Their belts jingle, sleigh bells dragged through winter's stern bureaucracy. The tree purrs, a furnace stoked by collective decorated surrender. You step inside again, because outside has become the same. Walls breathe, wallpaper blistering like bark teaching plaster new tricks. On the television, anchors smile with sap shining their teeth. They introduce special coverage, national participation in revitalized winter customs. Crowds cheer, municipal trees swallowing cities like cheerful seasonal trenches. A ticker crawls, volunteers requested for ceremonial nesting support programs. You mute the broadcast. The room still carries commentary internally. Your family stands, then bows, then turns their faces upward. Their eyes glitter. You recognize constellations learned in childhood winters. Those stars rearrange, spelling letters only you can read now. They spell your name, then feather it until recognition dissolves. You answer by standing straighter, pretending to understand participation requirements. Sap climbs your neck, sticky collar tightening like ceremonial approval. You test a boundary, speaking gently to the looming heart. Take me later, you whisper. Spare them this season, please. The branches rustle, considering pity like an outdated ornament option. A compromise arrives. Work, serve, become hands that arrange sacrifices. You nod, because nodding delays, and delay buys breathable minutes. The crowd disperses, walking backward, never turning their tendered backs. Streetlights brighten. The moon hangs like a polished coin tonight. Quiet returns, the kind curated by machines and old gods. You gather the remaining photos, edges softened by trembling hands. Each picture hums, drawn toward branches like nails to lodestone. You tie twine, slower now, pretending you control tempo tonight. Between knots you bargain again, promising secrets, promising obedience tomorrow. The tree tolerates your speeches because speeches entertain the livestock. From upstairs, a clock chimes 13, ignoring mathematics with confidence. You climb, curious, ankles creaking like steps inside a throat. The hallway smells like feathers inside radiators, hot and mineral. Your bedroom door is ajar, breathing light in delicate pulses. Inside, the tree has grown a scout, smaller, exploratory, smiling. It sprouts from the rug, roots sipping spilled childhood water. Branches brush your posters, shaking dust like newly hatched moths. Your bed tilts toward it, welcoming gravity's revised invitations tonight. You approach, hand raised, hoping gentleness might reprogram hungry instincts. The scout shivers, delighted, a puppy discovering bones-taste biographies. You laugh once, cracked porcelain, then offer a safer substitute. You place a sock monkey, threadbare, smiling without surviving context. The branch accepts, then gestures toward your chest, wanting keepsakes. You shake your head. The lights dim like disappointed eyelids. The knot in your wrist tightens, thread pulling muscle inward. You whisper another bargain. Storms tomorrow, branches clean, traditions postponed. The scout tilts, listening, then answers by opening the window. Cold air tumbles in, tasting the room, mapping corridors greedily. Distant wings gather, a weather system made of intention alone. You slam the sash. The latch kisses shut like salvation. Outside, something laughs, a flock practicing harmonies for siege rehearsal. You turn off lights, but darkness keeps the room visible. Phosphorescent sap lines your forearms, glowing like underwater exits homeward. You lie down sideways, listening to boards retell older winters. The scout settles, satisfied, purring until the walls learn cadence. You dream immediately, doorway dreams shaped like needles and beaks. In the dream, streets unroll into orchards of obedient houses. People hang themselves gently, becoming lanterns with polite smiles tonight. Birds applaud, little hurricanes flickering inside glass, praising conversions everywhere. You wake to quiet, shaped like waiting, not peace yet. Morning bruises the blinds, yellow smearing into ritualized daylight today. Downstairs, the main tree yawns, ornaments rotating like planets patiently. Your family pours coffee, steam sketching halos over feathered wrists. They hand you a mug that smells like cathedral mornings. On the rim, a single claw mark waits, inviting commitment. You sip anyway, throat warming, heart slowing, choir approaching distance. Then something knocks from inside the mug, asking to enter. You start at the sound, small at first, a polite, insistent tapping from the mug's ceramic walls, like knuckles on a church pew. For a moment you think it's the house settling, an old pipe, some polite domestic thing apologizing for waking you. Then the tap turns into rhythm, a pattern so deliberate it could be a name spelled in Morse. Your fingers tighten on the mug's handle. Steam curls into the air, carrying that same attic smell, but now threaded with something else. The papery whisper of feathers rubbing together, as if something tiny has decided it likes the warmth inside ceramic. You lift the cup toward your mouth, and the tapping stops. You freeze, expecting nothing, but the silence is louder than before. Tuned, alert, waiting. Something inside the mug breathes, a wet, impatient sound, small as a bird's sigh. Your brain, trained by months of tiny betrayals, offers you two options: curiosity or survival. Curiosity wins because it always does in stories where characters learn the wrong kind of lesson. You peer over the rim. Inside, at first, there's only shadow and the swirl of coffee disturbed by steam. Then a feather floats up, lazy and ridiculous, catching the light like a coin. It spins, and you see that the feather is attached to a beak the length of a thumbnail, sharp and curious and very, very alive. The tiny head tilts, blink, blink, like a bird in a teacup, asking for directions to where the rest of the flock went. Your chest clenches with an absurd relief, a pet perhaps, a small emissary. The bird opens its beak and clicks, a miniature applause. You laugh once, a cracked sound, and the room forgives you. The family smiles, content. The tree rustles like an audience clapping in slow motion. Then the tiny bird tilts its head, and you realize the click wasn't innocent. It was a code. Somewhere deep in the branches, the same code answers back, and you can feel the house waiting at both ends of that conversation. Your thumb rubs the mug's rim, and the bird hops, delicate and wet, to sit on its edge. Its feet are cold and sticky with sap. When you touch it, the skin under its feet is almost human, calloused and precise, a texture that wakes a memory of your own palms before they started to change. The bird turns its beak toward you and makes a new sound, slurred in the way of those who have learned to imitate languages they were never meant to speak. It says a tiny, awful something that tastes like the promises you gave in sleep. Come. The word spreads like candlelight. From the corner, your spouse rises as if pulled by invisible thread. Movements are graceful, practiced. Their mouth forms a smile that used to be theirs and now is only a borrowed shape. "We thought you should come outside," they say, voice warm as broth. Behind them, neighbors press to windows, eyes bright, carrying small packages, eyes turned like sunflowers toward the tree. The bird flutters, a conductor with a baton, and the entire street takes a step. You are the last to move. Ankles rooted by sap until decay and habit both ask you to go, then your feet obey. You follow them down the stairs, the house complicit and quiet. Every portrait on the wall, a study in taut, well-practiced omission. Outside, night has become a canopy of tiny, impatient lights. The town's municipal tree glows like a lighthouse gone feral, its top a crown of living feathers that flicker in colors no bulb should render. People gather in a swelling crowd, robes of winter coats clumped like churchgoers hugging their rituals. The air bites the seams of your coat. Everyone carries something, little jars, wrapped cages, bowls of seed and bits of memory. The tiny bird perches on the rim of your mug, then flies up and circles your head once, twice, and the motion feels ceremonial. Above, from the municipal tree, a feather drifts down, slow and deliberate, landing on the crowd like a benediction. When it touches skin, the person who feels it smiles with the certainty of someone who has just been told the world is right again. You consider running. Consider cradling the mug, scooping the bird back in, running until the sap at your ankles tears you out of yourself and leaves you raw and bleeding on some cold sidewalk. But running would do little. The street is a tidal wave of intent now. Eyes watch, hands ready to receive whatever you carry. Inside your chest, where your ribs resisted what was happening for months, something unspools like a thread, delicate and reluctant. You realize you are tired of resistance. Resistance had been a sport you played against the tree and always lost because it only pretended to be fair. You tuck the mug under your coat like contraband. The bird pecks your palm and its tiny beak leaves a welt that already feels like a ring. A child in the crowd holds up a paper star, folded with earnest fingers. Their mother lifts their hand higher, and the star flutters into the air and, impossibly, lands in the branches of the municipal tree. The branch closes like a fist. The child giggles, thinking a game was played, but the giggle is swallowed whole by the crowd's chorus. From the tree, a sound issues, not a word but a thank you that tastes like rust. People weep small, tidy tears because their ritual worked tonight, because offering made sense, and the world rearranged itself into a feast with their names on tiny, handwritten place cards. You step forward. Each step is negotiated. A neighbor offers you a candy cane as if offering a peace treaty. Another presses a photograph into your hands, face out. Someone else's life asking to be preserved. The tiny bird hops from your palm to your shoulder, a weight that is almost devotion. You climb the municipal steps, the crowd parting not to let you through but to provide you with ease. In the tree's shadow, your breath fogs, and when it clears you notice your fingers have fine filaments now. Not quite roots, but not quite veins either. Filigree of acceptance. The wood at your ankles hums in greeting. At the tree an official waits, someone in a hat you used to trust, who now wears civic decorum like an offering. They bow as you near and present a tray. Needles, twine, scissors. A small bowl of something thick and dark that could be molasses or memory. The bird whistles, a high and terribly proud note. The official's eyes shine with sap-slick duty. "Would you like to hang it?" they ask, and the question is unambiguous as winter. "Will you contribute yourself?" The words hang in the air like an oath. You look at the crowd. Smiles press forward like petals. You look at your hands, filaments of something between flesh and bark catching the light, and at the mug tucked inside your coat, warm and trembling like a heart. The tiny bird tilts its head, and the whole street seems to inhale with you. The choice is nothing you haven't already made. You lift the mug, fingers clumsy, and feel the twine at your wrist move, a loop that waits. You are not sure whether you hang the mug or whether the mug hangs you, because the difference here becomes a technicality. The crowd counts down in a cadence carved from years of devotion. 10, 9, 8. The bird sings higher. The municipal tree leans forward like a great beak opening, eager, patient, ancient. At 1, someone in the crowd, a voice both stranger and intimate, calls your name, and you realize with a strangled clarity that the pattern has always been about recognition. The tree wanted someone to step forward and make it official. It wanted a named person, so the ritual could lock into calendars and laws and every small human thing that makes behavior repeatable. You lift the mug. The loop catches. Sap kisses your digits. The world tilts and you understand the final thing in the way a struck bell understands silence. This is not an end. It is a beginning, bound with twine. Then the bird hops from your shoulder to the rim of the mug and sings, a sound like a bell and like a bone, and the crowd hushes because they have always known how to be still when a thing becomes holy. You close your eyes for just 1 second, a human mercy, and the sky folds open above you, dark and bright and feathered, and you feel the tug at the base of your skull. Whatever comes next is not violence in the way you once feared. It is a translation, a slow instruction set for the new anatomy you did not choose. You open your mouth, and the sound that escapes you is not your voice but a chorus, layered like rings inside a tree, older than the town and patient enough to wait until you agreed to speak. The first note falls into the mug, and the tiny bird swallows it whole, as if drinking sunlight. The mug feels warm against your chest, and when you look down you see the coffee has gone black as tar and glittered with tiny feathers like confetti. The crowd leans forward as one organism, waiting for the offering to settle. A hand, your hand, and not wholly your hand, lifts the mug toward the branch. The twine slides over your fingers like cold silk. Someone begins to hum softly, and the municipal tree answers with a shiver that runs down the whole street. You do the last thing you can call voluntary. You tie the knot. The knot tightens with the finality of winter ice sealing a lake. Your fingers fumble, but the twine knows better than you. It finishes the loop, neat as embroidery, knotting you into the ritual with an efficiency learned from centuries of repetition. The mug swings once, twice, then steadies, hanging at eye level. The bird on its rim bows, wings fluttering, and the crowd gasps as if an angel just descended. Or perhaps as if they had all rehearsed this moment in their sleep and finally got to watch the choreography unfold in daylight. You take a step back, but the step doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the tree, the street, the pattern of devotion that has already claimed your ankles. The official claps softly, the way a conductor signals the next act. "It is accepted," they murmur, voice trembling with both fear and pride. The municipal tree responds by shedding a single feather the size of a bedsheet, black and iridescent, tumbling down until it drapes across the crowd. They reach up, fingertips brushing it, and the feather dissolves into sparks that taste like ash and sugar. Children giggle, adults sigh, and everyone hums the same low note that has no lyrics, but carries more weight than any hymn you've ever heard. The mug glows faintly, the liquid inside boiling without heat, tiny bubbles rising like trapped whispers. The bird dips its beak and drinks, then raises its head to sing. The sound pierces marrow. It feels less like hearing, and more like remembering something you had tried very hard to forget. Your spine straightens. The filaments across your wrists pulse, bright as veins under sunlight. You feel the same change moving up your chest, ribs stiffening, breath slowing until each inhale feels like a season, each exhale a year. The crowd turns toward you, waiting. They expect leadership, not rebellion. They want you to speak, and the tree wants it too. A whisper coils through your skull, gentle and merciless. Announce. Your mouth opens without your consent. Words fall out, sticky with sap. Tonight begins the true calendar. The crowd cheers. Voices braided, no dissent, no hesitation. The official raises their hat in salute. Children jump, clapping, because they think calendars mean candy and parades. The bird cocks its head proudly, feathers puffed, and you realize with sick certainty that you are no longer just a participant. You are a herald, the one chosen to carry the sound forward, to tell the story in a voice half human, half timber. You try to resist, clawing at your own throat to stop the words, but your hands move gently, tenderly, like a parent soothing a fever. Each house shall host a branch, you hear yourself say. Each branch shall host a face. Gasps ripple through the crowd, not of horror but delight. They nod, eager, murmuring about who will go first, who will be honored. Somewhere in the noise you hear a child ask, "Will it hurt?" And the parent answers, "Only if you resist." The municipal tree groans, bending slightly, its trunk cracking with pleasure. Roots snake across the street, curling around lampposts, breaking asphalt. The town exhales in unison, smoke from chimneys twining upward like incense. Above, the sky darkens unnaturally fast, stars bleeding through before the sun has even finished setting. The constellations shift, rearranging themselves into patterns that look less like hunters and lions and more like branches, nests, beaks. One star winks, then another, until you realize they are not stars at all. They are eyes, vast and waiting, looking down as though checking that the ritual is proceeding correctly. Your knees buckle. The bird pecks your ear gently, like a teacher correcting posture. You straighten again, helpless. The crowd begins placing offerings at your feet. Rings, bones, feathers, old toys. Each object trembles once, before sinking into the pavement as though swallowed by roots. The official kneels, placing their badge beside your shoe. You want to scream to tell them it's wrong, but the tree's satisfaction wraps you in warmth. The warmth is cruel, like a blanket held over a struggling body. It comforts and smothers at once. Then the voices come. Not whispers this time, shouts. From the edges of the street, people who were late, who did not hear the call in time, rush forward in panic. Their eyes are still human, their voices roar with terror. "Stop!" they cry. "This is madness, snap out of it." The crowd turns as one, smiles unbroken, and parts just enough for the latecomers to see you at the center. Their horror doubles when they recognize you. You open your mouth to reassure them, to insist you're still yourself, but the words that fall are not reassurance. They are command. Kneel. The sound carries like a whip. The latecomers collapse instantly, hands on the ground, bodies trembling as roots coil up from beneath them. They sob, their tears hissing into the soil, but the crowd claps politely, pleased at your authority. The municipal tree hums, and the stars above flicker approval. The bird sings again, and you feel the filaments in your wrists tighten, like reins guiding a horse. You are no longer resisting. You are steering, and steering feels too much like victory to let go. Still, a shard of yourself claws against the tide. You whisper inwardly, begging for freedom, promising anything in exchange. And the tree answers with amusement, a thought pressed against your skull like a parent against a window pane. Freedom is for those without roots. The filaments dig deeper. Your chest tightens. You cough, and a feather falls from your mouth. The crowd cheers. In the distance, another municipal tree responds, then another. Soon the entire horizon glows with synchronized pulses, every town bowing into the same ritual. You realize the world is no longer made of cities, it is made of groves. The human era ended not with machines or fire, but with branches dressed in glass. You clutch your stomach, sick with the weight of inevitability. The bird tilts its head again, black eyes unblinking, and for the first time you realize it is not small at all. It is enormous, vast, infinite, condensed into a shape your mind can hold without shattering. The mug rattles, swinging on its twine, and you understand what comes next. Not ornament, not offering. Inheritance. And the crowd is already chanting for it. Inheritance sounds ceremonial until you taste it. Then its instructions, carved into breath, teaching your lungs a language that forgives forgetting, or pauses pretending mercy. The crowd chants softer, aware of thresholds. The bird listens, measuring generations like rainfall, deciding which mouths become doors and which hearts become dependable shelves. You lift your hands and feel echoes, little fingers inside yours, practicing grips, learning knots, trusting the twine the way children trust bedtime stories tonight. The municipal tree tilts, pleased. Its roots taste calendars, holidays, genealogies, then choose a rhythm safe for colonizing lullabies without frightening neighbors who remember mornings. You speak because silence equals consent. Your voice returns braided half wood, half wind, vowing stewardship like oaths, signed with sap under moonlit bylaws forever. Children step forward carrying school projects. Cardboard nests glittered wildly. Teachers nod solemnly, proud witnesses to curriculum aligning perfectly with roots, lights, faces, seasonal compliance. You bless them, unwilling priest, hoping blessings dilute consequences. The bird counters gently, reminding blessings are simply stamped receipts proving participation met quotas this year. Across rooftops, larger feathers drift, shadowing satellites. The constellations rearrange again, spelling towns, then surnames, then cradle songs, then work schedules optimized for harvesting gratitude. You remember your grandmother's ornaments, handmade, gentle. Suddenly every looped ribbon resembles noose practice, every paper dove a blueprint showing how to soften tomorrow's surrender. Inheritance smells like cedar closets, attic quilts, letters tied tightly. It also smells like pennies, hospital corridors, winter hands cracked open, learning how to root. You promise yourself lines, boundaries, humane ceilings. The tree redraws everything, crossing margins, annotating maps, placing branches wherever your resistance previously rehearsed comfortable little barricades. The official whispers policies, committees form, clipboards multiply, funding appears, and the hymn writes bylaws requiring seasonal audits of offering quality, consistency, and community morale. Your spouse brings you tea, hands shaking slightly. Inside the cup, two feathers spiral, courting, building a micro nest, while steam composes reassuring, domesticated weather indoors. They squeeze your shoulder, say your name softly. You search their pupils and glimpse the ornament they'll become, reflecting lights that haven't been hung yet. A latecomer resists, shouting scripture, science, childhood nicknames. The crowd lowers eyelids respectfully, while roots unbutton the pavement beneath, persuading his knees with downward grammar. You want to help him stand. The bird instructs otherwise, and your hands fold into symbols meaning patience, duty, compliance, counselor, shepherd. Anchor for tonight. At home, smaller scouts branch through hallways, picture frames tilt, aligning visages into choruses that practice smiling until the glass hums with renewable piety perfectly. You collect heirlooms, hoping symbols might negotiate. The tree accepts everything, translating bracelets into nest lining, journals into mulch, lullabies into scaffolding for tomorrow's broader annexations. News anchors smile brighter, teeth sparkling like tinsel. They announce scholarships for families demonstrating exemplary devotion, sponsored by companies specializing in ethically sourced twine nationwide. Your phone buzzes with messages from friends. Each string ends identically. A feather emoji followed by coordinates where their household branch requests attendance at dusk. You consider replying a warning, but predictive text writes hymns. Autocorrect changes help to hush. Changes flee to fur. Changes please to please, and always. The municipal official visits privately, hat removed. Their scalp bears ringed scars, counting years served. Each circle a lesson about delegation, inheritance, continuity through drought. They offer you manuals, thick with diagrams, branches rendering blueprints, aves indexing offerings, appendices cross-referencing festivals with migration, eclipses, planting, funerary etiquette, corporate sponsorships, partnerships. You sign the acknowledgement page. Ink smells like rain, but stains persist like sermons, reminding skin who owns the calendar whenever you wash your hands. Night after night, the bird perches above your bed, auditing dreams, pruning rebellious branches, tightening threads that once connected you to ungoverned, ordinary mornings easily. Sometimes you sneak to the mirror, searching proof of self. Reflections negotiate, offering versions you might accept, then billing you interest afterward for accrued worship. Outside, teenagers practice harmonies on skateboards. Their laughter folds into chants without scolding adults, because the song optimizes rebellion by providing ramps of belonging nightly. A letter arrives stamped with frost. Your name glows, inviting attendance at the regional Nidal Symposium. Keynote delivered by the Feathered Memory. Attendance mandatory tomorrow. You ask what the Feathered Memory is. The bird tilts, pours a vision. Cliffs, oceans, every winter condensed, descending like shared, portable ancestry for all. The vision rewinds you through strangers' December rooms, mothers threading robins, fathers trimming wick from candles, children practicing gratitude measured in wing beats rather than toys. When it ends, you're older by hours you didn't live. The bird looks pleased, Because education that hurts counts double under seasonal accounting for quotas. Your spouse catches you shaking. They hold your face gently, whispering that inheritance can be curated, softened, paced, if you keep singing properly each night. You ask whether our children will choose. They answer carefully, saying choice survives wherever calendars leave blank days, and perhaps we'll paint some together gently. The municipal tree delivers a seed. It throbs like a heartbeat, small and persuasive, asking politely to sleep beneath whichever pillow trusts easiest at midnight. You refuse the pillow, plant it outside. Roots write cursive across frost, spelling lullabies that tug birds earthward, unpacking auroras into usable instruction for neighborhoods. Soon infants coo in counterpoint. Monitors glow with feathered metrics tracking dreams, wingbeats growth, distributing milestones like stickers during polite parental gatherings each bright weekend. You begin drafting speeches for solstice, every sentence shaped to reassure, promising protection, community, brightness, while scheduling harvests between parades and televised ornament lotteries nationwide. At night, resistance returns as insomnia. You count breaths, then bulbs, then faces, until counting becomes prayer, and prayer becomes paperwork stamped complete before dawn. The bird sleeps finally, head tucked. You step outside alone, tasting quiet, noticing stars soften, daring to wonder whether any constellation remembers ungoverned, generous darkness. Something moves above the municipal crown, vast and slow. A beak opens, and a voice shaped like tomorrow asks whether you're ready to teach inheritance. Ready? The word tastes ceremonial, less question than decree. You nod because the body nods before the mind decides, and the crowd interprets nodding as covenant, stamping the air with cheers, stamping the earth with synchronized footsteps. The beak above yawns wider, horizon-sized, and stars funnel inward like coins into a collection plate. Your breath slows until each inhale feels leased, rented from something that catalogues lungs like library books. The bird at your shoulder rustles, shaking off sleep, pinning you with a glance that means tutor now, no more apprentice excuses tonight. You step forward and the municipal stage reforms into pulpits of bark. Roots carve staircases, guiding your ascent while neighbors chant your name, syllables rearranged into a psalm. You climb because gravity insists, not because belief blooms. At the top, the air tastes raw, like chewing on wires coated with snow. You grip a branch and it grips back, polite but firm, reminding you whose hands are branches now. The official kneels below, clipboard alight with bioluminescent ink, recording your every shiver as policy precedent for future winters. Teach, the tree hums, and silence falls thick, a velvet dropped curtain. You clear your throat, voice trembling, but amplified by sap that lines your esophagus, coating words in permanence. Inheritance is not gift, you declare. The crowd sighs as if remembering something their ancestors whispered behind locked doors. It is responsibility disguised as celebration. Murmurs ripple like wind, combing a field of brittle feathers. You continue, compelled. Each ornament is a witness. Each branch is a ledger. Every offering stitches us into continuity. The people cheer, throwing feathers like confetti. Tears streaming, joy heavy as obligation. Children clap without understanding, but their mouths already practice syllables that will bind them when memory softens. The beak in the sky clicks once, thunderous, approving. The municipal crown quivers, releasing sparks that rain harmlessly, searing symbols into asphalt like crop circles of doctrine. You pause, praying for breath. The bird on your shoulder leans close, whispering in clicks. More, and more arrives, unspooling in your skull like a scroll. You are not ornaments, you proclaim. You are branches. You are faces chosen to remember when winter forgets itself. When the sun abandons, when silence presses, we remain because the trees remain. The words taste like wood smoke and frost. The crowd kneels. Their obedience frightens you more than their rebellion would have. You search for dissent, for eyes glancing away, but find only devotion. The sap in your veins tingles approval. A man rises suddenly, shaking, defiant. "No," he shouts, voice cracking like a board splitting under an axe. "We were people before this. We can still—" His protest ends as roots spear upward, coiling his legs, dragging him into the municipal trunk. His scream becomes muffled, then becomes harmony, his mouth a new ornament singing the note you just taught. The crowd doesn't flinch. They applaud his inclusion. Your stomach knots, bile climbing, but bile hardens into resin before reaching your lips. The bird nudges you gently. This is the cost of teaching. Every lesson requires an example. Hours pass or minutes, time softens, pliable. You speak endlessly, voice reshaped into command. You describe rituals for planting seeds in bedrooms, branches in kitchens, feathers in lunchboxes. You decree calendars marking nights when neighborhoods must hum at identical frequencies to keep the sky's attention. You instruct how to carve twine from skin without fainting. The people write everything down, pens scratching, eager. You think of your younger self, sneaking candy canes, laughing at gaudy ornaments, unaware of what tradition meant. That self feels distant now, an old ornament shattered at the bottom of a dusty box. The beak above clicks again, larger this time. The crowd gasps, faces uplifted, waiting. You follow their gaze. The sky splits open like bark, cracking in frost, revealing a shadow vast enough to eclipse constellations. Wings stretch, feathers blotting stars, each plume larger than continents. You fall to your knees. The bird on your shoulder bows deeply, a student acknowledging its master. The crowd collapses in worship, murmuring, weeping, offering trinkets, pets, photographs, themselves. The colossal head tilts, a single eye like a moon glaring, reflecting the entire world back to itself. Its beak opens, and every municipal tree trembles. You brace for sound, but instead feel vibration in marrow, a message too large for words. The bird translates, voice tiny in your ear. Prepare them. Next year the harvest grows wider. Your heart lurches. Wider means more than your town, more than your nation. It means global. A season not of gifts, but of grafting. Every household branch feeding into something cosmic. The crowd cheers, not understanding, or worse, understanding too well. Children wave feathers. Parents cry with gratitude. The official writes furiously, drafting legislation. And you stand trembling, knowing the role you've been assigned. Teacher, herald, conductor of extinction, disguised as continuity. The tree withdraws slightly, enough for breathing to resume. The crowd disperses, singing softly, promises sealed in twine. Neighbors touch your hands, whisper thanks. They don't see the horror lodged in your eyes, or if they do, they call it reverence. Back home, your family waits, tea steaming, ornaments glowing faintly with trapped expressions. They kiss your cheeks, their lips sticky with sap. You did well, they murmur, voices layered with branches. The bird hops from shoulder to mantle, shaking itself dry, satisfied. You collapse into a chair, hands trembling, watching your veins glow faintly green. Night deepens. You stare through the window at the municipal tree looming like a cathedral. The giant in the sky hasn't left. It lingers, wings folded, watching. Stars blink nervously around its feathers. You whisper to yourself, I'll resist, I'll fight, I'll break the chain. The thought sparks, brief as a candle. Then a branch outside your window scratches the glass, carving words in frost. Roots don't break. They spread. You shiver, pulling the blanket tighter, knowing the message is not threat but fact. And yet somewhere in your marrow, a treacherous calm rises. Because part of you has started to believe the whispers, to see continuity not as prison, but as protection. A forest never dies if every branch remembers. A people never vanish if every winter is documented in feathers. Survival, even twisted, even enslaved, is still survival. You hate yourself for thinking it. You hate how reasonable the tree makes it feel. Then, just before sleep claims you, the bird speaks again, voice softer, conspiratorial. Not all roots feed the same trunk. You jolt upright, staring. It blinks, refusing to elaborate. A seed of rebellion or another trap? You don't know. But the idea burrows deep, refusing to die. Not all roots feed the same trunk. The sentence lodges behind your ribs like a splinter you can't spit out, pulsing whenever the house inhales. You test it silently, tasting each word for poison, for promise. The bird dozes on the mantel, beak tucked, pretending innocence badly. Outside, the municipal crown smolders with stars. Inside, your family's breaths keep time with the lights, rise and fall, prayer by metronome. You sit upright until the hour with no number clicks past. The idea keeps breathing. If roots can fork, perhaps loyalty can too, branching inward, hidden, nourishment diverted where eyes can't follow. Morning arrives ugly and cheerful. The town app consolidates rituals into push notifications. Today's hymn, approved offerings, neighborhood quotas, a congratulatory banner for last night's regional compliance. You swipe it away and it returns. Impossible to dismiss the way sap rethreads after cutting. The bird wakes, watches you without blinking. Lessons continue, it says, casual as weather. You nod, then cough, swallowing the feather that rises. While the kettle hums, you practice treason beside the sink. You think about silence. Refusal isn't smashing altars anymore. Refusal is starving a root quietly, redirecting water, smiling, nodding, praising, while feeding something else. You test the house for listening. Compliments allowed, curses behind your teeth. The tree hums approval at your compliments, ignores the curses, which means your mouth is surveilled and your marrow remains private. That becomes step 1. Step 2. Inventory. You list what feeds the ritual. Attention, objects, bodies, belief, stories. You can't steal objects or bodies yet, but attention can be poisoned. Stories can be seeded. You open your old journals, sticky with attic air, and write new entries between previous winters. Boring chores, dull dinners, naps, nothing remarkable. You will dilute the record until tradition tastes like cardboard forever. At midday, the official summons you to review curriculum. The municipal hall smells like wreaths left to rot in a locked car. Charts cover the walls, migration maps, offering schedules, compliance heat maps in festive colors no one questions. You present lesson plans that glitter with obedience, songs to steady hands, diagrams for safe knotwork, charming anecdotes about ancestral courage. Meanwhile, you smuggle boredom into the margins, pages of administrative notes, tedious footnotes, exercises so repetitive they dull desire. If hunger grows by attention, you will smother it with yawns. The bird watches, amused, as if curious how long boredom can starve anything. Night returns hungry. Street choirs braid their hum along gutters, a velvet cable pulling minds into alignment. You sing because not singing would break you in public. But under the noise, you count backward by primes. You recite grocery lists. You assign errands to every star. This is step 3. Clog the channel. If the hymn must pass through you, let it pass through molasses. Your neighbors sway, receiving slightly late music. The delay spreads like fog, softening edges, muffling fervor. The bird narrows its eyes but stays quiet. Delay is not defiance, delay is weather. Weather rarely gets punished much. Sleep comes as compromise. You dream a classroom of branches. Desks are stumps, chalk is bone, the board a slab of bark tattooed with constellations shaped like cages. Children practice tying twine. Every knot becomes a question mark the moment you look away. The colossal beak peers through the window, enormous and patient. It says teach, but the letters rearrange into leech. You wake gripping the sheet like a rope. The bird sits on the headboard, head tilted, noting your nerves like attendants. Roots fork, you whisper. Show me where. It blinks, then hops to the sill, points north wordlessly. Before dawn, you walk. The town sleeps like a choir, holding breath between verses. Frost coats mailboxes, each a small chapel of compliance. The bird rides your shoulder, warm and heavier than yesterday, like a secret promoted to duty. North leads past warehouses where artificial snow waits in plastic vats, branded with holiday optimism. Beyond them, the line of municipal trees bristles, sentinel after sentinel, identical crowns drinking identical skies. Yet at the far fence, a sapling leans crooked, wild, its trunk scarred by lightning. You touch the scar, it thrums irregularly, off-meter. Off-meter feels like possibility worth pursuing carefully. You could hide there, the bird says, surprising you. Not from the eye, but from the rhythm. Rhythm sustains hunger. You step inside the fence, brambles catching your coat, a small toll. The sapling smells different, less incense, more rain. When you lean your ear to the lightning seam, you hear a counter melody, thin but stubborn like a whistle behind scaffolding. If roots fork, you ask, what do they feed? The bird hops to the wound and drinks slowly. A trunk that refuses to centralize, it answers. An inheritance that archives without devouring. The words taste illegal and medicinal to you. You begin the slowest theft imaginable. Each day you escort a trickle of attention here. A yawn, a pause, a skipped verse, a story retold with the boredom left in. You bring scraps, broken ornaments, failed knots, unsung measures, and bury them around the sapling's roots. The municipal crown doesn't notice crumbs missing from its banquet. Hunger rarely audits leftovers. The bird teaches you a small hum that knots the air into privacy. Inside that knot, your marrow speaks freely. You name the sapling Archive, then rename it Future, then admit both names matter. Naming is another kind of watering for roots. Of course, the ledger notices eventually. The municipal tree tilts, sensing drag in the song. An uncollected tithe. Faces in ornaments squint toward the north fence. The official schedules a compliance parade. You return home smiling, clapping, promising excellence. Inside you pack rope, water, seeds, a knife you don't deserve. That night, when the choir lifts the town, you stand silent, humming only the private knot. The delay blooms into distance. Roots beneath your floor hesitate, then choose the stronger pull. The house breathes a goodbye you refuse to hear. You run for the fence. The sky opens its beak. The sky's beak widens above you. Not just shadow, but architecture. A cathedral of feathers arched across galaxies. Its gape isn't sound yet. It's gravity, a tug at your ribs, promising to chew you into syllables. You sprint anyway, each step cracking frost, breath steaming like incense. The north fence glitters ahead, barbed wire, frosted silver, humming faintly with municipal approval. Behind, the town sings louder, trying to pull you back by voice alone. The hymn thickens the air, glue for lungs. You push harder, legs splitting stitches, until the Archive sapling comes into view, crooked and scarred, whispering countersong. The bird clings to your shoulder, claws digging deep, encouraging. Now, it hisses, before rhythm seals you. You leap, palms gripping wire, skin tearing as barbs bite. Sap leaks instead of blood. You don't cry out. Crying would harmonize with the hymn. You drop inside the fence, landing hard, breath knocked loose, vision blurring. The ground here feels different, spongy, damp, not yet domesticated. The Archive leans toward you, its scar glowing faintly, pulsing against the hymn's pull. You crawl, hands shaking, pressing your cheek to the bark. It hums weakly, irregularly, the sound of someone refusing to march. The municipal chorus rises, furious now, voices layered like teeth gnashing. Lights strobe across rooftops. Roots under asphalt tear free, groping toward the fence, blind hands searching. The colossal beak groans, vibrating every bone in your body. Choose, the bird demands. Stay rootless or splice yourself here. You clutch the sapling, whispering, "Teach me." It answers by opening its scar wider, a fissure exhaling damp earth. You hesitate, but hesitation is luxury. The hymn climbs your spine, needles pressing, eager to drag you back. You shove your arm into the fissure. Pain blooms instantly, bright and volcanic as if bark gnaws marrow. You scream, but the Archive swallows the sound, turning it into counter-hum. Roots coil up your arm, threading veins, reprogramming tendons. Unlike municipal sap, this doesn't command. It argues, suggesting, nudging. It hurts worse because it negotiates instead of devours. You grit your teeth, sweat freezing on your brow. The bird chants low, guiding your breath. "Fork," it repeats. "Fork or be furniture." The fissure closes around your arm, sealing bark to skin. A final jolt knocks you backward. When you sit up, your veins glow greenish-blue, a softer light than municipal sap, less parade, more lantern. The Archive quivers, pleased. You laugh raggedly, disbelief leaking through, but the bird cuts you off. Don't celebrate. You've only made yourself a liability. The ground shakes. Roots slam into the fence, rattling it like drums. Faces bloom from the soil, distorted, ornament-hungry, chanting your name in reverse. The municipal hymn drills into your ears, promising mercy if you return. You clutch your glowing veins, whispering, "I can't go back." The Archive agrees silently, its scar humming louder, shielding you in irregular rhythm. The colossal beak hovers, one eye peering down, vast and lidless. It sees you, catalogues you, doesn't strike. Instead, it waits, curious whether you'll collapse on your own. Waiting is always cheaper than punishment. You stagger upright. The bird instructs, "Walk." You ask where, but it ignores the question. flapping once toward deeper woods. The archive sapling tilts as if bowing, then straightens, scar pulsing with each step you take. You march through frost, the hymn clawing your back, but the counter-hum holds, thin armor over thin skin. Hours pass in splintered minutes. You hear pursuit, neighbors chanting, officials barking policy as scripture, boots cracking branches. Shadows swell behind you, ornamented arms reaching. You run, lungs roar, until the woods thicken, swallowing moonlight. Here, trees grow unaligned, wild, refusing symmetry. The hymn falters in this chaos. At a clearing, you collapse. The bird hops down, pecking frost impatiently. You are spliced now. That means choice. Choice means cost. You nod, throat torn, asking, what cost? It tilts its head. You'll grow roots of your own. They'll hunger differently. Maybe they'll protect. Maybe they'll devour slower. But hunger never disappears. The words freeze your gut. You realize rebellion doesn't mean escape. It means building a different cage with different decorations. You stare at your glowing veins, uncertain whether you've become savior or founder of another prison. The woods shift. You hear humming, not the municipal hymn, not the archive's countersong. Something else, softer, fractured, but alive. You crawl toward the sound, branches scraping your arms. In a hollow, you find others, people scarred like you, veins glowing faintly, clutching their own crooked saplings. Their eyes widen at your approach, a mix of relief and suspicion. One woman steps forward, voice hoarse. Another fork. She touches your arm, and your veins pulse in rhythm with hers, not identical but close. For a moment warmth spreads, the kind that doesn't command but acknowledges. You choke on relief. You're not alone. The bird watches, satisfied. Roots fork. Trunks multiply. The forest decides. You want to ask what forest, whose forest, but the answer already trembles in the soil beneath your feet. A new hymn begins, tentative, messy, resistant. The colossal beak shifts above, displeased, but doesn't close. It only waits, patient, enormous. Hunger can wait centuries. Rebellion must sprint. The others surround you, pressing palms together, murmuring plans. They speak of sabotage, of rituals diluted, of offerings corrupted. They whisper of building a counter-calendar, days marked not by hunger but by refusal, by silence, by blank spaces. You nod, heart racing, but doubt eats too. If hunger never disappears, are you just inventing a slower predator? If every forked root becomes another trunk, will the forest collapse under the weight of infinite hungers? You shake the thought away, because questions don't stop roots. They only slow them. The bird clicks its beak, impatient. Somewhere in the distance, the municipal hymn swells again, furious, searching. Lights flicker through the trees, ornaments glowing like hunting lanterns. The others scatter, practiced, vanishing into underbrush. The woman grips your wrist, whispering, "If they catch you, they'll replant you." Her eyes plead. Then she disappears. You stand trembling, alone again, as shadows advance. The bird spreads its wings, blocking your view, voice sharp. Choose again, run deeper, or let them carry you back. Either way, the route spreads. The trees lean in, waiting for your answer. The forest folds around you like a rib cage made of branches, every step cracking frost that screams you've been marked. Behind, the municipal hymn swells louder, precise and militant, each note polished by centuries of obedience. It rakes across your spine like claws, demanding alignment. Ahead, the archive's counter-hum flickers, weaker but alive, stitched together from refusal, improvisation, stubbornness. Your veins glow faintly, green-blue light pulsing with each frantic heartbeat, a beacon that risks betraying you to both sides. The bird flies ahead, calling in clicks, urging you deeper, its wings scattering frost into glyphs that melt before you read them. Shadows between trunks elongate into figures, ornamented limbs stretching, faces glassy and smiling, marching to the municipal rhythm. They move as one, bodies synchronized, the hymn guiding every muscle. You stumble faster, lungs rasping, your own hum jagged and off-key but enough to slow their approach. Every time your foot hits soil, the archive pulses back, reinforcing your countersong. The clash of melodies bends the forest. Branches twitch, roots writhe, owls fall silent, stars above blur. Two hungers fight through you, one demanding order, one embracing fracture. You know whichever rhythm claims you first will claim the world. A root bursts from the ground, twisting around your ankle slick with municipal sap. You fall hard, cheek striking frozen soil, blood mixing with resin. The root squeezes, dragging you backward, toward the procession of smiling faces. You claw at the earth, nails splitting, humming louder, desperate. The archive responds, the sapling scar echoing through your veins. Your ankle burns, veins glowing brighter, until the municipal root recoils, hissing, blackened where it touched you. You scramble upright, limping, and the bird swoops down, claws slicing the weakened root. Don't stop humming, it warns. Silence is surrender. The procession doesn't slow. They chant your name, but backward, syllables reversed, each one a hook catching in your chest. You stagger, every backward sound dragging memories from you. Childhood, first kiss, laughter, yanked like ornaments torn off a branch. You hum louder, forcing your own name forward, syllables cracked but resistant. The archive amplifies, pushing the memories back, fragile but intact. The forest shakes with the dissonance, bark splitting, owls dropping from branches. Even the colossal beak above groans, unsettled, watching its song unravel. The sky ripples like disturbed water. You break into a clearing. The ground here glows faintly, roots weaving in spirals, a circle where counter-hum resonates stronger. Others emerge, figures scarred like you, veins glowing mismatched hues, each carrying their own rhythm. They form a circle, joining hands, humming crookedly, building a wall of noise. The municipal procession halts at the clearing's edge, disoriented. Their smiles twitch, glass eyes cracking. The hymn falters, sour notes bleeding. One of the rebels shouts, "Hold the rhythm!" Their voice is raw, veins burning, but determination sharpens it. You join, voice shaking, feeding your hum into theirs. The clash intensifies. Municipal faces lunge forward, ornaments cracking, glass shards spraying. Roots thrash across the clearing, smashing into the rebels' circle. Some are caught, dragged screaming, swallowed back into obedience. Their voices vanish, replaced by the hymn's polished tone. But the circle holds mostly firm, crooked rhythms weaving nets of refusal. You feel your marrow tremble, skin splitting as bark pushes outward. Pain flares, but the archive pushes back, reshaping the bark into something pliable, something yours. You scream into the hum, voice tearing, but the sound blazes brighter, a flare in the darkness. The colossal beak opens, sky glowing with furnace light. A roar pours down, a note so deep it cracks stone. The municipal forces fall to their knees, singing louder, recharged by the presence above. The rebels stagger, clutching their heads, rhythms faltering. You nearly collapse, vision tunneling, when the bird at your shoulder screams. Its small body glows, feathers burning with counterlight, and your veins surge in response. You pick up the hum again, teeth rattling, voice shredded but alive. The others follow, patching holes in the rhythm. Together you push back, messy, uneven, but enough to stain the hymn. The air warps, light bends, twisting trees into impossible angles. For a moment, you glimpse other places through cracks, houses filled with saplings, families humming in sleep, oceans turned into mirrored feathers, deserts blooming with ornamented cacti. The hymn wants everything aligned, catalogued, ornamented. The archive whispers of multiplicity, chaos, dissonance. Your body splits between them, each heartbeat a battle. Blood and sap leak from your pores, sizzling on frozen soil. You howl, and the forest howls with you. One rebel collapses, roots spearing their chest, their hum silenced forever. Another takes their place, picking up the note, refusing to let the circle break. You understand suddenly. It isn't about winning. It's about buying moments. Every crooked hum buys another second where the world isn't fully consumed. Seconds stack, buying minutes, maybe hours. You grit your teeth and keep singing, even as your throat bleeds. The municipal procession falters further. Smiles crack. Ornaments splinter. Some faces turn confused, tears welling in glass eyes. One child breaks free, stumbling into the clearing, collapsing at your feet. Their veins flicker uncertainly, torn between sap and blood. You kneel, hand trembling, and hum softer, wrapping them in the counter-song. Their glow steadies, crooked like yours, not erased. The rebels cheer, voices louder, rhythm stronger. Hope pierces the hymn's wall for the first time. The colossal beak snarls, shaking stars loose. It lowers, massive feathers brushing treetops, beak opening wider, ready to consume the entire clearing. You scream until your throat tears, the rebels matching, the bird on your shoulder blazing with light. The clash peaks, hymn and countersong colliding, shaking the world apart. Trees split, roots writhe, stars fall like embers. The beak looms closer, shadows swallowing you whole. And then, silence. Every sound cuts at once. The hymn, the countersong, even the hum in your veins. The world hangs still, breathless, waiting. The colossal eye peers down, vast, unblinking, reflecting you and the rebels in perfect clarity. You see yourself there, tiny, glowing, humming even in silence. The bird whispers in your ear, it's listening. Listening for what? You don't know. Silence. Absolute. Not the cozy hush of snowfall, but the suffocating pause after a scream is amputated mid-breath. Every throat in the clearing gapes, rebels and municipal alike. Mouths open but no sound escapes. Even the colossal beak above, horizon wide, hangs motionless. Not clicking, not groaning. The absence of noise is pressure, crushing, as if the air itself has been vacuumed. Your veins glow wildly, pulsing countersong you can no longer hear. The rebels' hands grip yours, knuckles white, eyes wide. They feel it too. This is not mercy. This is judgment. The bird on your shoulder trembles, feathers standing rigid, a compass needle quivering in magnetic storm. It listens, it rasps, quieter than thought. You want to ask for what, but the words don't reach your tongue. Speech is sealed, stolen. You can only think, and thinking feels dangerous in a world where silence devours sound. Still, thought leaks, an accident. We wanted choice. The colossal eye blinks once, a curtain drawn over galaxies, and the clearing shakes with the echo of agreement or mockery. Hard to tell. The rebels shift, restless. Their hum is gone, their rhythm stripped. Some claw at their throats, desperate to rebuild sound. Others kneel, terrified, praying silently with faces contorted. The municipal procession stares blankly, smiles frozen, waiting for command. Both sides equally powerless, suspended. The colossal beak lowers slowly, shadow engulfing the clearing until stars vanish. Its breath rolls out, damp, moss-scented, thick as a tide. Pressure increases. Every rib in your chest bends inward. The bird presses closer to your ear. Say nothing, it warns. In silence, words weigh more than galaxies. But the eye fixes on you alone. Not the rebels, not the procession. You. Its pupil dilates, swallowing sky, reflecting your crooked glow back at you. The archive scar in your veins thrums, offbeat, messy, a scribble against order. The silence feels like a question carved into marrow. What rhythm will you teach? You shake, teeth grinding, sweat freezing on your temples. You think of escape, of collapse, of surrender. Each thought echoes, bouncing, dangerous. The bird digs its claws deeper, grounding you. You close your eyes, forcing yourself into memory. Childhood Christmas, plastic ornaments, laughter untainted. For a moment you believe in that simplicity. That silence meant peace once. You try to project it outward. A thought without hunger. Let silence mean rest. The colossal eye narrows. The beak twitches. Pressure spikes. Bones creaking. Wrong answer. Pain floods your chest, veins bursting with light. You collapse to your knees, clawing at the ground. The rebels panic. One breaks. Silent scream carved into face. Bolts for the trees. Roots spear upward, impale, drag. The body is gone in an instant, consumed without noise. Another clutches your arm, pleading with wide, wordless eyes. You feel their question. What do we do? You don't know. You're not teacher. You're accident, thrown into a role no one should fill. And yet, the colossal gaze insists. Choice is demanded. Silence waits. You inhale, lungs burning. The bird whispers, fork again. Make rhythm inside silence. You don't understand, but desperation breeds invention. You press your glowing veins to the soil. No hum escapes your throat, but your pulse continues, irregular, fractured, a rhythm carved in blood and sap. The soil responds faintly, quivering, echoing your heartbeat. The archive spreads into ground, weaving your rhythm outward. Rebels press their veins to soil too, catching the beat, adding their own fractures. A messy drumline of survival. The colossal beak tilts, listening. Silence tightens, harsher, testing. Roots thrash, ornaments shatter in the procession's faces, their smiles splitting into frozen terror. But still you pulse. Still the rebels pulse. A dozen heartbeats, crooked, unaligned, but alive. The soil glows faintly with mismatched light. The colossal eye dilates, reflecting not order but chaos, not hymn but cacophony. For the first time it doesn't feel like judgment, it feels like consideration. Then the silence breaks, not with sound, but with absence of pressure. Air floods back. Throats release gasps, sobs, cries. Rebels collapse, coughing blood and sap. Municipal faces crumple, some glass cracking, smiles faltering. Noise returns in fragments, whimpers, rustles, breath. But the colossal beak doesn't roar, doesn't devour. It withdraws slowly, wings folding, vanishing into starfield. The sky returns, shaken but recognizable. The forest exhales. The bird shakes itself, feathers falling like ash. "It's spared you," it mutters, not out of mercy, out of curiosity. It wants to see if silence can breed rebellion stronger than sound. You wipe blood from your lips, staring upward, heart still racing. "Did we win?" The bird laughs bitterly, voice cracking. "There is no winning, only hungers competing. But you carved a new appetite tonight. That is dangerous." The rebels regroup, shaky, pale. Some smile faintly, hope glimmering. Others weep, convinced silence only delayed doom. The child you saved earlier clutches your sleeve, eyes glowing faintly crooked. They don't speak, but you feel their thought. What now? You look at them, then at the scar in your veins, then at the forest trembling with too many songs. What now? You don't know, but silence listens still, waiting for your next rhythm. Silence doesn't vanish. It lingers, tucked inside every breath, a parasite wearing patience as disguise. The rebels stumble from the clearing, whispering relief, but even their whispers carry odd gaps. Pauses too heavy, syllables stretched like vines. The municipal procession withdraws too, smiles cracked but not erased, glassy eyes blinking unevenly, pausing mid-step as if listening for a beat that doesn't belong to them. You stagger upright, every vein in your body still pulsing with fractured rhythm. The bird perches heavily, feathers scorched, murmuring, "You forked hunger, now watch it feed." The child clinging to you coughs once. The sound doesn't echo properly. Instead it drops, heavy, landing in the soil with weight. Roots tremble underfoot, confused, swaying. One rebel gasps, clutching their chest. "Did you feel—" They don't finish. A pause devours the rest of the sentence. Everyone in the circle looks around, terrified. Silence has learned to nibble words, chewing the edges of language like bark stripped from branches. The municipal figures twitch, smiles frozen, but when they open their mouths, the hymn comes jagged, missing notes, fractured mid-verse. Obedience no longer sounds smooth. It sounds corrupted. You stumble through the forest, rebels following, municipal forces trailing like shadows. No clear battle lines anymore, only two crowds infected by the same new appetite. Every so often someone collapses, body seizing in rhythm with invisible pauses. When they rise again, their eyes glow faintly crooked, neither wholly obedient nor wholly rebellious. Something between, something new. The archive sapling's hum follows faintly, echoing your heartbeat. It seems pleased with the infection. Back in town, evidence blooms quickly. News anchors stutter mid-sentence, silence consuming half their words. Officials pause too long, blinking like marionettes glitching. Songs on the radio dissolve into fragments. Silent, night, holy, is calm, and then nothing but breath. Families at dinner sit motionless for minutes, forgetting to chew until silence releases them. Even the municipal tree trembles, ornaments swinging irregularly, its hymn interrupted by pauses that no root can disguise. The official summons you again, face paler, clipboard shaking. "You've introduced anomaly." Their voice shatters between words. "Contain it before order collapses. They look at you with desperation, not reverence. For the first time, they fear. The bird cackles, claws digging into your shoulder. Contains silence. Fool, silence contains you. The official slams their clipboard down, eyes cracking like porcelain, sap leaking. Then what do we do? You don't answer. You can't. Every attempt at explanation splinters, gaps eating your words. The rebels murmur behind you, voices fractured too, rhythm leaking like broken drums. Night falls ugly. The municipal choir gathers as ordered, but their hymn stumbles, collapsing under pauses. Smiles freeze into grimaces. Some fall silent altogether, standing still, mouths open, eyes glassy. Others continue singing broken fragments, desperate. The rebels try counter-hum, but theirs cracks too, silence creeping into their pauses. Both sides look at you. You feel the weight of their hunger, leader, teacher, betrayer. The colossal beak above doesn't appear. Stars shimmer uneasily, uncertain. For the first time, the sky seems to wait, not command. The child tugs your sleeve again, whispers, "Is silence ours?" The words stab. Yours? Maybe. A rebellion cannot own what devours. But the question burrows. Maybe silence isn't parasite, maybe it's weapon, maybe it's seed. You kneel, veins glowing faintly, and press your palm to soil. The earth quivers, listening. Instead of humming, you breathe. Long, slow, deliberate pauses. Not song. Absence. The ground glows faintly, roots shifting. The rebels copy you. Soon the municipal procession does too, against their will. A town full of bodies breathing silence together. The effect is immediate. Ornaments on the municipal tree crack. Faces trapped inside vanishing into static. The hymn collapses completely. Not with rebellion, but with emptiness. Streets fall still. Lights flicker out, one by one, until the town sits in darkness. The only glow remains in your veins, the rebels, the child's, crooked, faint, but undeniable. You realize then, silence doesn't kill tradition. It erases it. Blank page ready for rewriting. Dangerous, yes, but also power. The bird whispers, "Teach them how to wield it, or it will wield them." You nod shakily, gathering people in the town square. Their faces glow faintly, municipal and rebel alike, unified by fracture. You raise your hands, chest trembling, and begin the first ritual of silence. You teach them how to pause deliberately, how to let silence stretch not as accident, but as design. They follow, clumsy at first, then steadier. Entire blocks breathe together, inhaling, exhaling, refusing to sing. The absence becomes rhythm itself, but hunger notices. Above, the colossal beak returns, eye-wide scanning. It tilts, confused. Its hymn no longer feeds. Silence starves it. The ground shakes violently, municipal roots thrashing, searching for sustenance. Buildings crack, ornaments shatter. People scream, but even their screams are devoured mid-syllable. You fall to your knees, veins blazing, silence pulsing stronger. The rebels clutch each other. The municipal procession collapses entirely, bodies twitching, faces blank. Everyone infected now, bound by the same pause. The bird laughs, triumphant and terrified. You've done it. You've built a hunger that eats hunger. The colossal beak roars, soundless, wings blotting constellations. It dives, fury incarnate, intent on consuming the entire town. You rise, body trembling, and spread your arms. Every infected voice joins you, municipal and rebel, child and elder, breathing in unison. Silence swells, colossal, devouring even the sound of approach. The beak freezes mid-dive, suspended, stuck in the pause. The sky cracks like glass, fragments tumbling into void. You collapse, chest heaving, the town around you shattered and glowing. Silence reigns, thick and absolute. For a moment, you believe you've won, but then the bird whispers softly, claws tight on your shoulder. You didn't destroy hunger. You only taught it a new name. It begins with pauses so small no one notices. A hymn on the radio drops a word, then resumes, announcer covering with cheerful laughter. A commercial stutters, voice skipping like vinyl, but the jingle continues afterward, no questions asked. Families singing carols miss a beat, pause mid-verse, then restart as if nothing happened. The pauses multiply, stretch longer. Entire refrains vanish, leaving only breath and nervous glances. At first, people excuse it as fatigue, cold air catching throats. But you recognize infection immediately. Silence has spread beyond your town. The bird rides your shoulder, smug and heavy. Roots fork fastest when invisible, it whispers. You watch television, anchors blinking too long between sentences, cameras lingering on silence as if ordered. Live audiences sit still, waiting, not clapping until prompted. The world shifts towards stillness, not noise. Cities once loud with traffic now ring with gaps. Horns cut mid-blare, engines cough into quiet. Footsteps halt in unison. The archive scar in your veins throbs, thrilled. You try not to thrill with it. News reports stumble. Tonight's holiday, festivities. Then silence, anchors staring glass-eyed until the camera cuts. Weather forecasters point at maps, mouths opening and closing without sound. Cities swallowed by wordless pauses. Viewers don't panic. They accept. They mimic. Parents hush children mid-question, letting silence stretch until it feels like obedience. Schools rewrite lessons, moments of stillness between every subject. Governments adapt quickly, issuing guidelines for seasonal reflection pauses. Citizens comply, eager, believing it, patriotic. You laugh bitterly. Rebellion disguised as policy always wins faster. The rebels meet secretly, but even their meetings falter, pauses devouring plans. They try counter-hum, but silence interrupts, chewing through rhythm like moths through cloth. One rebel weeps, clutching her glowing veins. "It's not ours anymore," she whispers. "It's everyone's." Another spits sap, furious. "We created nothing. We unchained something older." You remain quiet, not trusting words. The child beside you clutches your sleeve, eyes glowing faintly. They seem calm, as if silence comforts them. That terrifies you most. Municipal forces crumble faster than rebels. Their hymn requires perfection, and silence devours perfection easiest. Ornaments shatter, faces erased, trees split under strain. Officials try new chants, legal documents full of enforced noise, but even signatures fall into pauses. Bureaucracy collapses into wordless waiting. The colossal beak returns nightly, wings blotting constellations, roaring soundless fury. It thrashes above cities, but silence suspends it, freezing dives mid-air. Skyscrapers stand untouched, but inside offices fill with people staring at each other, waiting for words that never arrive. The world turns into theater between acts. You wander streets, watching infection deepen. Choirs attempt carols, but collapse into synchronized breathing. Preachers at pulpits lift hands, pause forever. Congregation bowing heads without sermons. Lovers mid-argument stop, eyes locked, anger swallowed by pause until they forget what sparked it. Children play games of silence, daring each other to stay still longest. Nobody laughs anymore, not really. Laughter requires rhythm, interruption. Silence eats that too. The bird warns you. They look calm, but hunger grows under calm. Silence eats, and soon it will ask to be fed. You nod grimly, feeling it in your veins. Each pause leaves you hungrier, emptier, craving noise that won't return. Rebels begin vanishing, wandering into woods during long silences, never reappearing. Municipal loyalists vanish too, snapped up by pauses mid-ritual. Entire blocks of houses stand empty, though no one remembers who lived there. Erasure spreads without violence, polite, efficient. You test the limit one night, standing in the square. You shout, scream, curse, stringing words together with no gaps. For a moment, the crowd stares, startled. Then silence swallows your voice whole. Your mouth moves, lungs burn, but no sound emerges. People clap, not mockingly but reverently, as if your erasure were holy. You collapse, throat raw, veins glowing painfully. The bird pecks your ear. Noise is rationed now. Spend it carefully. Days blur. Governments fall quiet. Armies disband mid-command. Borders dissolve into stillness. Planes land without announcements. Ships drift without horns. Cities become museums of breath, people moving softly, waiting. The colossal beak hovers, unable to eat, but unwilling to leave. It watches like a dethroned monarch, waiting for its hunger to evolve. Perhaps it already has. Perhaps silence belongs to it too, a trick handed down like crown. The rebels gather one last time, eyes hollow, veins dim. "We must decide," one rasps. "Teach silence as freedom, or destroy it before it devours everything." Debate falters instantly, pauses interrupt, swallowing arguments. Half the rebels freeze mid-word, staring blankly until others shake them awake. The child speaks instead, voice clear, unnervingly so. "Silence is seed. Plant it right, it grows forests. Plant it wrong, it grows graves." Everyone stares, shaken by clarity. You grab their shoulder, whispering, "Whose seed are you?" They smile faintly. "Yours, ours, theirs. Doesn't matter. Seed always belongs to soil." That night, silence peaks. Entire continents fall still, oceans calm, winds pause mid-gust. Animals freeze, birds hovering mid-wing beat, rivers halting mid-flow. Even clocks stop ticking. The planet itself holds breath. The colossal beak looms closer, larger than moon, its eye consuming the horizon. It stares at you, veins glowing crooked, bird perched, child clutching sleeve. Judgment again, or harvest. The bird whispers urgently, "This is choice again. Final fork. Either teach silence to mean rest, or let it mean nothing forever." You open your mouth, but no words come. Only pause, infinite, swallowing thought. The child squeezes your hand. The world waits. The pause stretches longer than time should allow. You expect lungs to burn, hearts to rupture, rivers to rot in their halted beds. Instead, everything persists, breath without sound, movement without noise, existence without proof. The colossal eye fills the sky, unblinking, reflecting every crooked vein, every cracked ornament, every frozen face. It demands, but not with hunger this time. It demands interpretation. Silence waits to be told what it means. You realize, horrified, that the forked root you planted made you its translator. Not rebel, not herald, not ornament. Interpreter. The bird claws deeper, voice threading your skull. Say nothing, and silence becomes grave. Shape it, and it becomes inheritance. Choose. The child squeezes your sleeve tighter, eyes glowing faintly. Their face radiates patience far older than a child should carry. You shake, terrified. Every thought you form risks becoming scripture. You close your eyes, forcing memory back. Snowfall candles, laughter muffled by mittens. Silence used to mean peace. Pauses between songs, rest between verses. Could it again? Or has hunger chewed that possibility away forever? You kneel, pressing glowing veins to soil. You don't speak. You breathe, slow, deliberate, making pause into rhythm, not absence. Inhale, exhale, letting the air itself shape meaning. The rebels mimic you, pressing their veins too, creating a chorus of breath without sound. Municipal loyalists, confused, follow too. Even the colossal beak hesitates, wings frozen, listening. Together, an entire world breathes silence, not as hunger, not as erasure, but as rest. You feel it spread, cities pausing in unison, oceans sighing without roar, children sleeping without nightmare. Silence as reprieve, not devouring. The eye narrows, suspicious. Pressure builds, testing your resolve. Roots tremble, threatening collapse, but you hold breath steady. You exhale slowly, shaping thought. Silence is sleep. Silence is healing. Silence is not feast. The archive scar pulses agreement, counter hum woven into pause. The colossal beak groans, vibration rattling teeth but doesn't devour. Instead it lingers, considering. The bird whispers urgently, "It's close. Push deeper." The child steps forward, veins glowing brightest, and lies flat on soil. They close their eyes, arms out, chest rising and falling. Sleep, not death. Pause, not grave. Their glow spreads outward, veins seeding earth with rhythm. One by one, rebels lie down too. Then municipal loyalists, then neighbors, until the clearing is a field of bodies breathing together. Even you collapse, exhaustion crushing, soil cool against cheek. The bird perches on your chest, a feathered weight marking heartbeat. Above, the colossal beak hovers, wings trembling, furious or afraid. It leans closer, eye-consuming horizon, as if to swallow the world whole. but instead it exhales. A gust of air colder than any winter sweeps over you, rattling branches, shaking bones. Yet it feels less like attack, more like acknowledgement. The beak closes, wings folding, retreating into constellations. Stars return slowly, uneven, as if stitched back by tired hands. For the first time, the sky looks smaller, less hungry. You wake at dawn, not sure if hours passed or centuries. The town lies still. People rise cautiously, blinking, stretching, uncertain. Their eyes glow faintly crooked, veins pulsing with archive rhythm, but their smiles are real, not glassy. Children laugh, hoarse, cracked, but laughter. A sound silence didn't devour. Rebels and loyalists stare at each other, unsure, then nod, weary allies in survival. The municipal tree stands cracked, ornaments shattered, hymn extinguished. Its roots lie dormant, not erased, but asleep. The bird flutters to your shoulder, feathers ragged. You redirected hunger, it croaks, turned devouring into resting. Dangerous, but brilliant. You shake your head, trembling. How long will it last? The bird chuckles, bitter. As long as people remember silence isn't nothing. As long as they teach it as pause, not pit. You look at the child, veins still glowing strongest. They smile, radiant, and whisper, "We'll remember." You want to believe them. You must. Days pass. The world rebuilds, slower, quieter. Traditions reshape, gatherings of stillness instead of hymns, pauses marked on calendars as holidays of breath. Factories slow, churches hush, schools teach silence as meditation. At night, people lie together, whole towns resting in unison, stars watching calmly. Hunger lingers but tamed, like fire contained in hearth. The colossal beak remains absent, though sometimes feathers drift in auroras, reminders that wings never vanish entirely. You teach children yourself, guiding them in pauses, showing them silence can cradle instead of consume. They listen eagerly, not afraid, but doubt gnaws. You wake some nights to deeper quiet, too heavy, too absolute. You wonder if hunger waits still, biding centuries ready to twist rest into grave again. The archive sapling hums reassurance, but you don't trust even it fully. Forked roots always hide hungers of their own. Still, you breathe, teaching pause as ritual. You plant more saplings, scars glowing, forests of crooked rhythm spreading. The world becomes quieter, gentler, for now. One evening, sitting beneath the archive's branches, the child leans against you, voice soft. "Do you think it's gone?" You don't answer immediately. You watch stars flicker, searching for beak-shaped shadows. "Not gone," you say finally. "Sleeping, maybe listening, waiting to see if we can keep this rhythm." The child nods, unafraid. Then we teach. Their certainty steadies you. The bird sighs, feathers falling, older than time. Roots fork, branches fork, meanings fork. You chose one, another will come. That's the nature of forests. You stroke its feathers gently. And when it comes, the bird chuckles, bitter, wise. Then you choose again, that's the nature of you. For now, the forest breathes with you. Silence lingers, but it feels lighter, less predator, more companion. The colossal beak is gone, the sky full of stars, crooked but bright. You exhale, chest easing for the first time in what feels like centuries. The world is not saved, not safe, but alive. And in this pause, that is enough. Then the wind carries a sound, small, delicate, unmistakable. A click, a beak opening, distant, patient. Silence listening for its next meaning. The click is faint, like glass tapping against porcelain, but it detonates inside your chest louder than any hymn. You freeze mid-step, mug of tea trembling in your hands. Around you, the town continues its ritual of pauses. Neighbors seated on porches, eyes closed, breathing together, teaching silence to mean rest. None of them stir, none of them hear, only you. The bird stiffens on your shoulder, feathers bristling, claws digging deeper. "It returns," it rasps, voice hoarse with dread. The child looks up from chalking crooked circles on the ground, eyes wide, whispering, "Not sleep." Echo. Night arrives brittle. Stars glow softer now, stitched in imperfect constellations. Yet between them something shifts. Small black dots, moving rhythmically, beaks clicking faintly. Not colossal, not sky-swallowing, smaller, multiplying. The hunger hasn't reappeared as one mouth, but as many, dispersed like spores. You watch in horror as constellations fracture, new stars forming unnatural grids. People continue breathing together, oblivious. Their pauses stretch beautifully, too beautifully, uniform where crookedness once saved you. The archive scar in your veins throbs painfully, warning, rhythm is aligning again. You gather the rebels, fewer now, faces lined with exhaustion, veins dimming. They listen grimly as you explain. The silence forked. It was pause, now it's echo. Small mouths, scattered, teaching stillness to synchronize again. If we don't fracture it, the forest will centralize, hungrier than before. One rebel shakes her head, despair heavy. We cannot fight silence twice. People believe it now, they want its rest. They'll never listen if we tell them it devours again. Another mutters, maybe that's better. Let them sleep forever. End the hunger by ending the noise. You slam your fist on the table, voice cracking. Then nothing remains, not even memory. The child watches silently, then speaks with eerie calm. Roots fork when cut. Cut again. They drag chalk across the table, drawing crooked lines, splitting endlessly. The rebels stare, unsettled. The bird nods grimly. Children always understand first. Adults cling to furniture. You scowl. How? How do we cut silence itself? The bird tilts its head. Noise. But not him, not hum. New noise. Uncatalogued, unclaimed. So you try. The next day you gather the town in the square. Faces glow faintly, peaceful. They sit cross-legged, waiting for your lesson in pause. Instead, you clap. Once sharp, ugly. The sound ricochets like glass breaking. People flinch, eyes wide, some covering ears. A murmur ripples dissonant. You clap again, twice, uneven. Children giggle nervously, uncertain whether to mimic. You stomp your foot. Shout nonsense syllables. Cough theatrically. Noise, ugly, jarring, crooked noise. The rebels join hesitantly, coughing, clapping, shouting. Soon the square fills with chaotic sound, jagged interruptions cutting through the long pause. Above the constellations twitch, the black dots scatter, beaks clattering in confusion. The grid fractures uneven, relief surges. But then, laughter. A sound you haven't heard since before infection. It bursts from a child, pure and involuntary, sparked by the absurdity of adults stomping and shouting nonsense. The laughter spreads, messy, glorious. For the first time, silence doesn't collapse under noise. It cracks, forced to hold crookedness again. The bird cackles triumphantly. Yes, teach them not him, not hum, teach them ridiculousness. But victory is fragile. That night the clicks return, louder, sharper. You wake to find your house vibrating, walls tapping in steady rhythm. The archive scar burns. Outside, neighbors stand motionless, faces blank, beaks sprouting where mouths should be. Tiny at first, then longer, sharper, gleaming black. They click in unison, replacing pauses with tapping rhythm. Not silence now, but percussion. The hunger mutates. Panic spreads. Rebels fight to drown clicks with chaos. Pots banged, drums improvised, whistles shrieking. But the rhythm adapts, clicking faster, weaving around noise, turning it into accompaniment. Even your laughter feels caught, synced to the tapping. You fall to your knees, clutching ears. The bird shrieks, flapping wildly. They learned! They eat noise now. Crookedness feeds them too. You flee into the forest with rebels, the child running barefoot beside you. The archive sapling looms crooked, scar glowing faintly. You collapse at its base, gasping. It won't stop, you choke. Every fork becomes hunger again. The sapling hums irregularly, scar widening. Roots push up, curling around your glowing veins. The child presses their palm beside yours. Their veins pulse brighter, joining scar to soil. The bird lands between you, eyes burning. Then you don't cut. You scatter, not fork. Fracture until nothing can centralize. Make meaning impossible to collect. You understand with dread. Not silence, not noise, not pause, not him. Chaos, a forest of rhythms so countless no hunger can devour them all. Dangerous, terrifying, unstable, but maybe survival. You rise slowly, veins blazing, scar burning like fire. Then we teach chaos, you whisper. The rebels stare, horrified, but nod. The child smiles, radiant. Above, the sky trembles, clicks growing louder, constellations rearranging into grids again. The colossal beak doesn't return. Instead, countless smaller beaks open across the heavens, black dots multiplying endlessly. A storm of mouths, hungry for rhythm. The ground shakes with tapping. Houses shudder. Trees groan. The archive pulses, preparing. The bird whispers fiercely in your ear, then scream. Scream until forests grow from fragments. You inhale, chest cracking, and unleash a scream. Not him, not hum, not pause. Just chaos. Rebels follow, voices jagged, clashing, incoherent. The child howls gleefully, laughter woven through terror. The archive surges, scar splitting wider, roots fracturing into countless directions. The clicks falter, stutter, clash against cacophony. The sky quakes, stars fall like broken teeth, and then everything shatters. The square, the forest, the towns, the beaks, all collapse into fragments of rhythm, shards scattering across horizon. No order, no silence, no hymn, just chaos, spreading like wildfire. The world doesn't break clean. It splinters like glass struck at odd angles, shards catching light in ways the eye cannot follow. Streets curl into spirals, buildings hum at clashing tempos, rivers stop mid-current, then surge backward. People stagger, their veins glowing in mismatched hues, each pulse a different beat. No two footsteps land together anymore. The rebellion worked. Alignment is dead. The hymn is dead. But so is silence. In its place, cacophony, a forest of rhythms, each branching infinitely. You wander through the wreckage, ears ringing with competing beats. Children clap nonsense patterns delighted, their laughter staccato lightning. Old women mumble lullabies that accelerate without warning, cracking into shouts. Bells toll without schedule, clocks spin both ways, dogs bark on impossible rhythms. Even the wind refuses to stay constant. Gusts explode, then vanish mid-breath. Chaos reigns. And yet, hunger stalls. The beaks in the sky, once synchronized, now flap erratically, colliding, biting each other, unable to feed on noise too jagged to consume. They fall like meteors, shattering into black feathers that hiss before dissolving into air. The colossal beak never reappears. Perhaps fractured too, perhaps still watching, waiting to see if chaos births a hunger larger than itself. The rebels adapt faster. They dance, crooked, inventing new steps every second. They paint faces in spirals, voices crashing in deliberate disarray. If nothing aligns, nothing devours. One laughs, dizzy, but their laughter collapses into sobs a moment later, rhythm too unstable even for joy. Municipal loyalists stagger worse. Without him, without silence, they flail, trying to march but tripping on fractured time. Their glassy smiles finally crack, shatter, teeth scattering like ornaments. Some fall still, unable to adapt. Others blend with rebels, infected by chaos, glowing crooked until their veins pulse wild polyrhythms. The archive sapling thrives. Its scar gapes wider, roots sprawling, drunk on fracture. It hums constantly, not one note, but millions, overlapping, jarring. You rest beneath it, dizzy, chest rattling with too many heartbeats. The bird perches near, feathers singed. You did it, it croaks. You freed the forest from alignment. You nod weakly. At what cost? The bird chuckles bitterly. At every cost. But better shards than cages. The child sits cross-legged nearby, chalking spirals faster than hands should move. Their veins glow brightest. Each pulse new rhythm. They grin at you. We broke it. Now it can't grow one hunger ever again. You want to believe. But cracks spread wider. Cities collapse not from hunger, but from dissonance. Bridges buckle under rhythms pulling in different tempos. Trains derail as tracks loop backward, signals flashing random. Crops grow twisted, flowering out of season, fruit souring sweet then rotting mid-bite. Animals convulse, their pulses too chaotic to sustain bodies. The world is not dying, it's drowning in infinite songs. Chaos preserves from hunger, but chaos doesn't feed. The rebels argue. Some insist to embrace it, live wildly, no pattern ever again. Others demand moderation, small alignments to build shelter, to grow food. But every attempt at pattern collapses instantly. Rows of crops twist, tools hum off beat, walls crumble because bricks refuse to stack straight. People starve while surrounded by abundance no one can organize. Babies cry on unpredictable rhythms, mothers sobbing because lullabies won't catch. You walk among them, heart splitting. You save them from hunger but curse them with entropy. At night, chaos glows brightest. Stars flicker randomly, constellations spinning, colliding, vanishing mid-blink. The sky hums not with hymn, not with silence, but with storms of mismatched light. The beaks scatter, reduced to fragments, pecking randomly, no longer terrifying but pathetic. The bird beside you warns, don't pity them, fragments still bite. Enough fragments can still starve you. You nod grimly, clutching chest, your veins blaze, archive scar widening until it feels your body may split. You cough, spitting sap and blood, both glowing. The child steadies you, whispering, don't fall into rhythm, stay jagged. You laugh, broken. I was never good at rhythm anyway. Days blur. Town squares fill with chaos rituals, people screaming in rounds, stomping mismatched beats, laughing, sobbing, pausing unpredictably. Food arrives crooked, berries sprouting from lampposts, bread baking itself mid-air, then collapsing into ash. People eat anyway, desperate. Hunger of the old kind gone, replaced by hunger of survival in chaos. Some adapt, others vanish, erased by rhythms they couldn't ride. The rebels crown you leader, though leadership means nothing now. You stand atop cracked municipal steps, veins blazing, voice shredded. We chose chaos. We'll survive it. We'll teach it. The crowd cheers jaggedly, claps offbeat, stomps irregular. For a moment you believe them, but then your voice falters, pause stretching too long. People gasp, fearing silence's return. You cough, forcing sound, chaos resuming, but fear lingers. Every pause now is danger, every silence potential relapse. The bird warns you privately, chaos buys time, but hunger always learns. If fragments align even accidentally, a new mouth forms. You must keep breaking, forever. The thought guts you, forever fracture, forever shatter. No rest, no alignment, no lullabies, no harmony. You look at the child, chalking spirals, eyes glowing. They smile. We'll keep breaking. That's what inheritance means now. The words chill you worse than him. Inheritance was always cage, always hunger. Now it's chaos. A cage with no walls but endless falling. One night, wandering ruins, you hear something impossible. A song. Soft, fragile, almost human. A lullaby. You follow, heart racing, through twisted streets until you find a woman rocking her child. Her voice cracks, but holds. The baby sleeps, breathing steady, rhythm aligned with song. Not hymn, not silence. Human rhythm. Warm, fragile. The child glows faintly, not crooked but whole. You choke on tears. The woman looks up, smiling. I remembered, she whispers. Not him, not chaos, just us. You stagger back, horrified and hopeful. The bird shrieks, furious. No, pattern births hunger again. But you can't look away. The baby sleeps peacefully, fed not by chaos but by song. Maybe survival isn't breaking forever. Maybe it's remembering differently. The colossal sky doesn't appear. No beaks, no eyes. Only stars, crooked and bright, watching quietly. For now. The lullaby hangs in the night like fragile glass, trembling but refusing to shatter. You crouch in the ruins, heart pounding, unable to breathe. After chaos, after silence, after him, this sound feels alien, small, human, fragile. The baby's chest rises and falls, rhythm steady, simple, uncorrupted. You want to reach forward, to touch the air, to confirm it isn't hallucination. The bird screeches in your ear, wings thrashing. Stop listening, pattern breeds hunger. But you ignore it. For the first time in years, the sound doesn't feel like cage or grave. It feels like life. The woman rocks gently, her voice soft, cracked but warm. She meets your eyes, unafraid. It's not theirs, she whispers. Not him, not silence. Just mine. You stumble closer, knees weak. How? She smiles faintly. I remembered before the trees, before the beaks. My grandmother sang. I thought it was gone. But memory hid it, crooked, waiting. The bird hisses furiously, claws tearing your shoulder. Kill it now before hunger grows again. The child clings to your sleeve, shaking their head. No. Listen. This isn't the same. You kneel, tears stinging. The lullaby wraps you, fragile threads weaving ribs together. Your veins glow brighter but softer, archive scar pulsing gently instead of splitting. The chaos inside you quiets, not erased, but soothed, given shape without chains. You gasp, realizing, maybe rhythm isn't cage. Maybe hunger devours because rhythm was surrendered, centralized. Maybe if rhythm stays small, fragile, owned by individuals, it cannot be eaten. The rebels arrive panting, wild eyes glowing jagged. They hear the song and freeze. Some drop weapons weeping, others snarl terrified. Pattern, one spits. Kill her, another sobs. No, listen. The crowd divides instantly. Loyalists stagger too, clicking beaks twitching, but even they hesitate, clicking faltering when faced with fragile lullaby. The bird flaps hard, shrieking, "You'll doom us all!" But your marrow disagrees. You rise, voice trembling, and sing. Not hymn, not hum, not chaos, just crooked memory, your grandmother's half-forgotten tune. The rebels gasp. Some join, voices jagged, but real. The lullaby spreads, imperfect, fragmented, but alive. Above, the sky shudders. Stars flicker nervously. Small beaks swarm, clicking madly, trying to devour pattern. But the song is too fragile, too inconsistent. Each singer carries it differently, crooked by memory. The clicks cannot align around it. They bite fragments, fail, scatter. Some dissolve into ash, burned by gentleness. The colossal beak does not return. Maybe it fears fragility. Maybe it cannot taste it. The baby sleeps soundly. The mother smiles, tears streaking. Rebels collapse, exhausted, sobbing into hands. Loyalists drop to knees, beaks cracking off like shells, falling to ground, dissolving. For the first time you see peace without hunger, without chaos. Just pause filled with fragile song. You whisper hoarsely, "It can work." The bird glares, trembling. "No, you'll forget, you'll centralize, you'll build hymns again, and then it returns." The child looks up, glowing brighter, defiant. "Then we don't write it, we only remember." The days after are unstable. Some embrace lullabies, small songs carried household to household. Others cling to chaos, banging pots, screaming dissonance. Terrified of rhythm's return, tension grows. Fights break. One night, rebels burn a family's house for singing together. Another night, chaos haters tear drums from children's hands. The town cracks under two hungers, fear of order, fear of madness. You stand in the square, voice broken, trying to mediate. Not him, not silence, not chaos. Just us, small songs. Fragile songs, personal, but they don't all listen. Some never will. The archive sapling grows twisted, scar glowing faintly. It hums dissonance still, but softer, less demanding. It seems to respect lullabies, as though recognizing crookedness in their imperfection. You sit beneath it, exhausted, baby asleep on your lap, mother dozing nearby. The child draws spirals, chalk breaking in frantic hands. They mutter, "Roots fork, meanings fork." But maybe this time, fork stays small. You ruffle their hair gently, though dread coils inside. Forks always grow, always. Nights grow calmer. People sing differently, each voice carrying unique cracks. Streets sound like patchwork quilts, songs overlapping, never aligning fully. Beaks in the sky shrink, fewer each night, starfield reasserting. Some vanish entirely, dissolving into sparks. The bird sulks, wings ragged. Temporary. You've seen this before. Hunger always waits. You sigh, stroking its feathers. Maybe hunger can't eat what it can't collect. Maybe fragility saves us. The bird scoffs, bitter. Fragile things break, always. But maybe that's the point. Maybe breaking saves, because broken never centralizes. You teach lullabies to children, not hymns. You forget half the verses on purpose, encourage them to improvise, to crack songs wide. They laugh, delighted, inventing silly words. The sound doesn't echo hunger. It doesn't build cages. It just lives, small, temporary. You cry because maybe that's enough. One evening you walk alone, veins glowing faint. The archive scar hums, less insistent, more curious. You hear lullabies drifting through windows, crooked, clumsy, beautiful. No one aligns, no one devours. For now, stars above flicker softly, no beaks, no eyes, just night. You breathe deeply, a pause that feels restful, not grave. Then, the faintest click, not loud, not sky shaking, just behind you. You turn, heart racing. In shadow, a child, not the child, another, rocks a doll, lips moving. But their lullaby doesn't wobble, doesn't crack, it's perfect. Smooth, too smooth, your veins freeze. The archive scar burns. The bird hisses. It starts again. The doll's eyes glow faintly, glassy, smiling. The perfect lullaby slices the air like a blade disguised as comfort. Each note lands without fracture, without hesitation, precise as glass spheres aligned on a tree branch. You freeze, throat-locking, because you know this shape. Not him yet, but blueprint. Not cage yet, but nails. The other child sways, cradling their doll, eyes glazed, rhythm flawless. Around you, the crooked songs spilling from windows falter, bending toward the perfect sound like moths chasing flame. Fragility forgets itself quickly when seduced by smoothness. The archive scar in your veins burns hot, scarlet against skin. The bird shrieks in your ear, flapping violently. Stop it now before roots remember perfection. But your legs feel nailed, body caught between awe and terror. The song is beautiful, too beautiful. You hate how much you want to listen. The baby in your arms squirms, waking, lips trembling as if to echo the melody. You clamp your hand gently over their mouth, tears streaking. If they join, it spreads. Perfection metastasizes. The child's doll tilts its head. Its painted eyes glow faintly, smile stretching wider, teeth too sharp. The lullaby pours stronger, voice impossibly steady for lungs that small. Neighbors emerge from houses, confused, drawn into street. They sway, crooked songs collapsing, mouths softening into unison. Rebels nearby panic, shouting, stomping, banging pots. But chaos can't compete with beauty. Dissonance buckles. Imperfection forgets itself. People hush rebels angrily, shushing them like rude guests at church. You stagger forward, voice hoarse. Stop, don't listen. But your words fracture, silence chewing gaps. The lullaby fills them smoothly, colonizing your absence. You cough, blood and sap spraying, glowing bright. The archive scar pulses desperately, offbeat, trying to fracture rhythm. But the lullaby flows around it, refusing to crack. The doll's smile widens. The child's veins glow gold, clean, perfect, terrifying. The bird slashes your ear with its beak. Sing anything, break it. You choke, attempt your grandmother's cracked song. Your voice splits, hoarse, ugly. For a second, rebels rally, joining with chaotic howls. But perfection devours. The lullaby swells, flawless, harmonizing even your broken notes, absorbing them into alignment. You collapse, gasping. Chaos bends, silence bends, everything bends. Hunger stirs. The colossal beak does not appear. Instead, smaller beaks swarm again, clicking, synchronized to the child's voice. They circle above like constellations whipped into formation. Each click falls in perfect time, percussion for the lullaby. You scream silently, realizing hunger doesn't need to roar. It can whisper, it can soothe, it can cradle you to death. The mother of the perfect singer appears, smiling eerily. See, restful, no cracks, no fear, let the children lead us. She reaches out, coaxing others to join the song. People obey, tears streaming, relief palpable. They're tired of fracture, tired of chaos. Perfection feels like mercy. You want to vomit. Mercy is always the mask of cages. The rebels surge forward, desperation wild. One tackles the singer, trying to clap a hand over their mouth. The doll's head snaps sideways, jaws opening impossibly wide, biting the rebel's arm. Blood sprays, sap mingling, rebel screaming. The child doesn't falter, lullaby flowing flawlessly even as doll chews. The rebel collapses, twitching, veins bleaching gold. They rise glassy-eyed, humming in perfect harmony. Panic tears through crowd. Some flee, shrieking. Others collapse to knees, surrendering. The lullaby grows louder, streets vibrating, buildings swaying. The archive sapling groans, scar splitting wider, roots thrashing in pain. Its hum falters, offbeat swallowed by smoothness. You clutch your chest, archive glow dimming. You understand. If perfection claims the archive, the last crooked defense falls. Hunger centralizes again. The bird shrieks, "Kill the child!" You reel back, horrified. A child, but not just a child. A vessel, a seed. You stagger toward them, knife trembling in hand, tears blinding. The perfect singer smiles serenely, doll gnawing bone, lullaby unwavering. Their gold veins glow brighter than stars. "Come closer," they whisper between verses. "Sing with me." You almost do. The other child, the crooked one who's followed you since archive, throws themselves between you and perfection. Their chalk-stained hands glow wildly, spirals flashing. "No," they scream, "we don't kill, we fork!" They slam their palm onto soil, archive roots convulsing, scar blazing. The earth fractures, ground splitting beneath the perfect child. The lullaby wavers just slightly. Perfection hates fracture. Cracks hiss through melody. The doll shrieks, teeth snapping. The rebels cheer, screaming jagged noise, widening fractures. You seize chance, voice shredded. You howl nonsense, chaos bursting. Others join, stomping, clapping, coughing. The lullaby struggles, gold glow flickering. For the first time, the perfect child frowns, eyes wet. "Why won't you let me rest you?" They sob, voice still flawless. Cracks widen, song staggering. The doll gnashes, shatters into shards, dissolving. But the lullaby doesn't die. It mutates. Less perfect, but still strong. The child's veins flicker gold and blue, a fusion of perfection and archive. They collapse, sobbing, but their voice continues, disembodied, floating through streets. People drop to knees, torn between chaos and lullaby, fracture and perfection. The sky seethes with swarming beaks, clicking war drum. The crooked child turns to you, eyes glowing violently, voice fierce. Choose again, fracture wider, or let lullaby seed the world. You clutch your head, screaming, caught between songs, both beautiful, both terrible. Above, the sky splits. A colossal eye reappears, wider than ever, unblinking. It has returned to witness your choice. The colossal eye stretches across the sky, swallowing constellations, reflecting the fracture in your veins and the gold in the child's. It doesn't blink. It doesn't roar. It waits. Hunger is patient because choice always feeds it. You collapse to your knees, torn between the crooked hum that kept the world alive and the flawless lullaby promising rest. Both pulse through marrow. Both devour. Both seduce. The bird shrieks at your ear, desperate. Fracture wider, break before you bend. The crooked child pleads, hands gripping yours, spirals chalked onto their skin. Don't kill. Fork. Always fork. The golden child sobs, voice still perfect, lullaby echoing from nowhere and everywhere. I only want you to sleep. Why do you resist sleep? The crowd trembles, caught between camps. Some sway toward perfection, gold veins blooming, faces serene. Others clutch ears, howling chaos, stamping feet until bones crack. The street shakes with dueling hungers. The archive sapling writhes, scar blazing, roots thrashing between collapse and conquest. You taste copper, ash, sugar, everything all at once. You want to scream, but silence swallows your throat. Only thought remains screaming, choice kills or saves. Choice always costs. The colossal eye leans closer, infinite pupil expanding until sky itself becomes mirror. In its gaze you see both futures. In one, lullaby triumphs. World sleeps forever, aligned, beautiful, devoured in peace. In the other, fracture spreads endlessly, chaos uncontainable, world alive but unsustainable, starving in noise. Neither offers mercy, neither offers eternity, only cycles. You shudder, realizing the truth. You're not here to end hunger. You're here to redefine it, again and again. Every fork another cage, another splinter. The crooked child shakes you. Don't give it shape. Break it. The golden child crawls closer, tears streaking, lullaby still perfect. Please, I'm tired. Everyone is tired. Let me sing you to rest. Both voices slice marrow. Both are children. You can't kill either. You can't let either rule. The archive pulses inside, scar widening until ribs ache. You gasp, veins blazing crooked gold, both rhythms at once. Pain blinds you. The bird screeches in panic. You'll split apart. You can't hold both. But maybe you can. Maybe that's the only way. You stagger upright, every bone screaming, and raise your arms to the sky. The colossal eye glares, waiting. You force breath into lungs, then do the impossible. You sing both, crooked and flawless, fracture and lullaby, chaos and perfection in one shredded voice. It shouldn't work. It doesn't. It tears you apart. Your veins split, glowing blue and gold, archive scar bursting open like a second mouth. Blood and sap spray the ground, sizzling. You collapse to knees again, but the sound keeps pouring. Not harmony, not dissonance, a braid. The crowd screams, covering ears, unable to bear it. Rebels convulse, loyalists faint. Children weep, but no one dies. No one vanishes. The lullaby stutters, cracks spreading, but doesn't collapse. Chaos falters, jagged edges softened, but doesn't erase. Both remain, tangled. The golden child stares in shock, voice faltering. The crooked child clutches your arm, veins blazing to match yours. The archive sapling shrieks, roots splitting, branches snapping, but then stills, scar glowing both colors. For the first time, it doesn't demand, it listens. Above, the colossal eye blinks, slow as centuries. It leans closer, wings blotting half the horizon. Its breath sweeps over town, tasting the braid. It doesn't devour, it doesn't flee. It stares. Hunger confused, hunger considering. Maybe hunger fed by contradiction instead of alignment. Maybe you've carved a third path. Or maybe you've doomed everyone to suffer both cages at once. You collapse fully, chest heaving, throat shredded. The bird hovers nervously, circling. "What have you done?" It croaks, terrified. You wheeze, blood dripping from lips. Neither. Both. The crooked child beams through tears. Forked again. The golden child sobs harder, clutching doll shards. It hurts. Why does it hurt? You drag them close, arms shaking, pulling both children against you. Because living hurts. But hurting isn't hunger. The town rises slowly. Rebels hum jagged, loyalists hum smooth, both clashing. Yet neither silences the other. People stagger, bleeding, confused, alive. Some scream in pain, others laugh hysterically. Both sounds coexist, neither devoured. The archive pulses approval, roots spread outward, crooked and straight, forked endlessly. Not cage, not chaos. Something harder, something unstable, something real. The colossal eye pulls back, wings trembling. Stars scatter in its wake. For the first time, it doesn't look like predator. It looks like witness. It closes slowly, fading into night. No roar, no click, no silence. Only waiting, always waiting. You cough violently, collapsing into soil. The bird lands beside you, trembling. You fractured yourself. You can't survive this. You grin weakly, sap and blood mixing on teeth. Maybe I'm not supposed to survive. Maybe I'm seed. The crooked child grips your hand, tears falling. The golden child presses forehead to yours, lullaby faltering into messy sobs. Both whisper, "Don't leave us." You want to promise, but promises become hymns. You stay quiet. The archive scar pulses wildly, spreading roots from your chest into ground. Pain sears. You scream, not song, just scream. The crowd gasps as your veins burst outward, weaving into soil, splitting into crooked and flawless strands. Trees erupt instantly, saplings glowing both colors, humming dissonance and lullaby together. The town shakes, not collapsing but transforming, roots threading every building, branches piercing roofs. People cry out, some in joy, some in terror. You fade, vision dimming. The bird screeches, flapping violently. The children cling tighter, sobbing. You whisper last words. Cracked, broken. Don't choose one, teach both, teach hurt. Then darkness. Above, the new forest glows crooked gold, braiding every hunger, every fracture, every lullaby into one unstable inheritance. The world breathes, neither devoured nor free, for now, and the colossal eye blinks once more. Not closed, not open, just watching. Morning arrives not with bird song or hymns, but with groaning wood. The town itself stretching as if buildings had spines. Branches jut from chimneys, leaves unfurl inside kitchens, roots curl under beds. Every house hums crooked gold, fractured and flawless intertwined. People wake coughing sap, their veins glowing faintly, some blue, some gold, most both. They stare at walls that now breathe, at roofs cracking under vines, at streets buckled by roots. Fear burns first, then awe, then resignation. No one asks what happened. They know. The forest grew out of him, out of you, out of every choice forked too far. Children adapt fastest. They climb roots as playgrounds, braid vines into toys, laugh when houses shift mid-meal. Their songs are messy, half crooked, half flawless, colliding into noise but never settling. Adults struggle more. They curse at branches blocking doors, weep when floors sprout moss, scream when windows warp into eyes. Some hack at roots with axes, but wood heals instantly, sealing wounds with glowing resin. Others surrender, decorating branches with scraps, pretending it's holiday again. Pretending helps. Pretending hurts. The rebels wander streets barefoot, faces painted in spirals, declaring this proof of victory. We broke cages. We planted freedom. But their chants stumble when confronted by starving neighbors. Crops grow erratically, twisted by mixed rhythms. Fruit rots before ripening. Wheat sings itself into dust. Animals convulse, their pulses unstable. People grow thin, bellies gnaw. Freedom tastes like hunger in a different costume. Municipal loyalists argue for order, trying to drill songs into unity. But their voices crack, gold veins flickering, unable to sustain perfect rhythm. They break, cry, rage. Both sides turn to the new forest for answers. The forest hums back, uncaring. At the center where you collapsed, the archive scar gapes wider, roots braided into your bones. Your body is gone, absorbed, but your glow remains, crooked and gold, flickering like a lantern buried alive. People gather there whispering prayers, leaving offerings. Not birds, not ornaments, not gifts, just breaths. They exhale and press palms to roots, hoping you'll inhale somewhere. Some swear they hear responses, broken lullabies tangled with screams. Others hear nothing. The children say they hear laughter. The crooked child and golden child stay always near the scar. They guard it like siblings of a god. They argue constantly. Crooked insists on fracture, drawing spirals into bark. Golden insists on repair, humming lullabies smooth enough to soothe cracks. Yet both cling to the same root when they sleep, as if unwilling to exist apart. People watch them, terrified and hopeful. Maybe both together mean future. Maybe both together mean doom. The bird grows older, feathers molting, voice rasping. It sits atop your root, muttering to anyone who listens. You think inheritance is choice? No. Inheritance is debt. He paid his, and now you owe. Some throw stones, tired of prophecy. Others feed it scraps, afraid to anger it. The bird never leaves, wings clipped by age or loyalty. Its eyes glow faintly crooked gold now, as if infection seeped even into feathers. Everyday life warps. Markets still open, but trade is different. People exchange breaths, measured pauses, fractured sighs, fragments of lullabies. Some sell silence, crouching in alleys to swallow noise and release quiet seconds later for coin. Others sell chaos, banging pots until customers laugh with relief. Money still changes hands, but less trusted than lungs. Entire families starve not from food, but from lack of rhythm. They forget how to breathe properly, veins dimming until they vanish into bark. Nights are worst. The forest glows faintly, roots pulsing, branches humming. Some nights, crookedness dominates. Chaotic storms, winds shrieking, houses twisting into spirals. Other nights, perfection rises, streets glowing gold, breath sinking against will, sleep too deep to wake. People fear both equally. They tie themselves to chairs, hoping not to vanish into root or lullaby. Still, each morning neighbors are missing, rooms filled with vines or dust. The colossal eye rarely appears now. When it does, it watches silently, unblinking, no longer predator, but witness. Its gaze freezes entire towns for hours, people stuck mid-motion, breathing shallow. Then it closes, leaving exhaustion. The bird mutters that it's studying, learning whether your fork will collapse. If it collapses, it croaks, it returns to feed. If it holds, it waits. Hunger is patient. The crooked child begins teaching, scribbling spirals into dirt. telling students to break patterns, laugh at structure, sing nonsense. The golden child counters, teaching lullabies, gentle, fragile, soothing. Families fracture, some follow crooked, others golden. Most drift between, exhausted by contradiction. The children fight, scream, cry, hug, repeat. No one dares separate them. Both are inheritance. Both are debt. One evening, the forest births something new. A branch splits open in town square, spilling not sap, but ink. Words crawl out, glowing, rearranging into sentences. People crowd, whispering. The sentences contradict. Rest in song. Break before bending. Teach hurt. Some cry, claiming prophecy. Others laugh, calling it nonsense. The crooked child says, "It's him." The golden whispers, "No, it's us." The bird shrieks, "It's both." The words vanish into root again, leaving silence thick as frost. You dream through bark. You don't sleep, not truly, but you drift. You see families humming lullabies cracked by giggles. You see rebels stomping spirals until legs bleed. You see hunger hovering, wings folded, patient. You ache to speak, to guide, but your mouth is root now, your voice hum and lullaby together. You wonder if this is inheritance or punishment. Life continues. Streets buckle, houses breathe, children laugh, adults weep. People live, people vanish, people adapt. The world is not saved. The world is not doomed. The world is forked. Every day is survival, every night a wager. And in the sky, stars rearrange again, not into beaks, not into cages, not into spirals, into something new, something unrecognizable, something waiting. The stars do not click, hum, or sing. They rearrange silently, lines weaving between them like chalk dragged across infinite black. Patterns emerge, not constellations, you know, not hunters or birds or spirals, but strange diagrams, circles within circles, ladders bending sideways, knots tied into nothing. People gather in streets, necks craned, whispering. Some call it prophecy, others omen, others madness. But all agree, it is new. Not hunger, not him, not silence. A shape without history. And that terrifies everyone. The crooked child laughs first, clapping hands. "See? Even the sky forks!" They dance under patterns, drawing spirals in dirt to mimic. The golden child frowns, clutching their chest. "It doesn't sound. That's wrong. Everything should sound." Their lullaby falters into uneasy quiet. For once they both look lost. You feel it too, pulsing through roots where your body used to be. The archive scar glows faintly, uncertain. Even the bird sits still, feathers flat, eyes unblinking. "This is no hunger," it mutters. "This is no cage. This is audience." Days pass and the diagrams shift nightly. One evening they resemble skeletons of trees. Another, faces fractured into mosaics. Another, something like maps but leading nowhere. People argue endlessly. Priests claim new scripture. Rebels call it chaos finally crowned. Loyalists, what few remain, insist it is perfection returning in disguise. But the stars never settle. Every pattern vanishes before morning. This inconsistency gnaws at all sides. Crooked songs stumble. Lullabies crack, even pauses feel counterfeit. The world holds breath, waiting for the sky to speak. It speaks differently. Shadows descend. Not wings, not roots. Shapes of light, soft, pale, falling like ash. They land on roofs, hands, soil. People scream, expecting devouring. But the ash doesn't bite. It lingers, warm, dissolving into skin. Wherever it touches, veins glow, neither crooked blue nor flawless gold, but pale silver. Those infected blink slowly, then smile, real smiles, weary but unglassed. They speak no hymn, no lullaby, no chaos. They simply say, "Enough." Then they go quiet, not erased, not dead, but present in a way you can't explain. Their eyes shine softly in moonlight. Panic erupts. Some beg for ash to touch them, chasing shadows, desperate for silver calm. Others flee, convinced it is new hunger, subtler than before. Rebels scream betrayal, chaos muted by silver eyes. Golden loyalists sob, lullabies ignored. Families fracture again, some surrendering to silver, others resisting. The crooked child kicks ash angrily, shouting, "It steals our fork." The golden whispers, trembling, It silences song without eating it. That's worse. You feel ash seep into roots into you. Your scar burns silver alongside blue and gold. Pain blossoms differently, less jagged, less devouring, more heavy. A weight pressing ribs, whispering, stop choosing, stop fracturing, stop teaching, just stop. You want to obey. For the first time you crave stillness, not as silence but as surrender. It terrifies you more than hunger ever did. The bird shrieks, feathers flying. Don't trust it. Hunger devours. Chaos breaks. Perfection cages. But this empties. It makes choice irrelevant. You want to argue, but your chest aches with relief at the thought of no more choices, no more forks, no more screams. Just enough. Just rest. The bird bites your root, drawing sap. Fight it. If you stop, everything ends without ending. The silver spreads fast. Within days, half the town glows faintly, sitting quietly, smiling softly. They work but without urgency, eat but without hunger, speak but without weight. They're alive but dulled, content in ways that unsettle. Chaos dwindles, lullabies fade. The world doesn't starve or shatter, it drifts. Rebels rage, smashing silver houses, screaming until throats bleed. The silver people watch silently, unbothered. Golden singers weep lullabies unheard. Nothing provokes silver into reaction. That terrifies more than hunger or silence ever did. The crooked child grows frantic, scribbling spirals into dirt until nails break. We must break it, shatter silver before it spreads. The golden child sobs beside them, clutching ears. But they look happy. Isn't that what we wanted? Isn't that rest without hunger? Both look to the archive scar, you, for judgment. You pulse weakly, blue, gold, silver, tangled. You don't know, maybe happiness that costs nothing is caged too. Maybe it's mercy, maybe both. One night the silver people gather in square, eyes glowing softly, and build nothing. They just sit. Hours pass. No chaos, no song, no silence. Just sitting. The air thickens with strangeness. Rebels watch, unnerved, unable to interrupt. Golden singers try lullabies, ignored. Even children stop playing, curiosity gnawed by weight. The bird whispers harshly, they worship nothing. That's the worst devotion. Nothing leaves no cracks to resist. The stars shift again, forming diagrams sharper now, resembling doors. Silver people rise, walk calmly to outskirts, and vanish. Not into roots, not into sky, into nothing. No scream, no mark, just gone. Families chase, begging, but silver doesn't pause. It only departs. Fear erupts. Some demand to follow, others demand to fight. Town splits again. The crooked child turns to you, spirals glowing desperately. Fork again, shatter silver before it takes all. The golden clutches your root, sobbing, no, let them go, let them rest, isn't that mercy? Both plead. The bird digs claws into bark, shrieking, neither, resist both. Choose crooked mercy or perfect fracture, but don't choose nothing. The silver spreads anyway. Stars shift nightly, diagrams multiplying, doors opening wider. More vanish each evening. The town empties, humming with absence. Soon only rebels, golden singers, and children remain. They look at you, terrified, demanding choice again. You ache, roots cracking, scar burning blue, gold, silver. The sky blazes with patterns, infinite doors. Hunger never left, chaos never died. Perfection never vanished. But now nothing competes too. The colossal eye doesn't return, maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe silver is its last experiment. Maybe it was never hunger at all, just audience, testing. You shudder, trapped in roots, unable to move. You wonder if planting yourself was mistake. And then a silver child returns. Not vanished, changed. Eyes glowing like moons, veins silver, smile soft. They whisper one word, enough. And for the first time, you can't tell if it's promise or threat. The silver child stands in the square, eyes glowing like pale moons, veins shimmering with quiet certainty. Around them the air stills. Not silence, not hunger, not lullaby, not chaos. Something else, something steady, impossible. Rebels hiss, clutching their ears, spirals on their skin burning as if erased. Golden singers weep, lullabies breaking into sobs. Even the crooked and golden children, guardians of the archive scar, step back, uncertain. The silver child only whispers once, voice soft enough to crack the sky. Enough. The word spreads without echo. No repetition, no chant, no rhythm. Just one word, dissolving into marrow. People collapse, some sobbing, some laughing, most simply sitting down as if weight finally won. Rebels drop their pots, their howls. Golden singers stop mid-verse, tears drying. Streets fill with still bodies, breathing but motionless, eyes silvering one by one. The forest groans, roots thrashing, branches snapping. The archive scar inside you burns with panic. Blue fractures, gold lullabies, all dim. Silver suffocates. The bird shrieks in terror. Not hunger, not cage. Worse, forgetting. Erasure without teeth. It pecks desperately at your bark, trying to rouse glow. But your veins dim. Silver spreads through roots, strangling archive, smothering song and fracture. You scream inwardly, but the scream doesn't rise. The scar inside you pulses faintly, begging for one more fork. But silver doesn't fork. Silver smooths. The crooked child claws dirt, spirals fading from their hands. Fight! Break it! Please! Their voice trembles, desperate. The golden child clutches their chest, lullaby choking. Maybe this is peace. They sob, but don't resist. The silver child approaches both, smiling softly, touching their foreheads. Gold dims, blue dims, silver glows. They fall silent, still breathing, eyes glowing faint. Not gone, but no longer themselves. You rage in roots, thrashing against soil. You thought you had seen every cage, every hunger, but this is worse. This is surrender. No teeth, no song, no cost, just forgetting until nothing matters. You force your archive scar to flare, one last surge. Pain rips through you, bark splitting, roots cracking. The ground shakes, people screaming. Blue gold erupts in veins, colliding with silver. The sky shatters into diagrams, doors collapsing, stars scattering. For one moment you breathe free, but silver doesn't fight. It waits, calm, patient, endless. People stare upward, eyes dimming into soft moons. The silver child raises their hands, smile unbroken. No hunger, no chaos, no pain, enough. Their voice spreads again. Even the colossal eye returns, watching curiously. For the first time, it doesn't threaten. It seems almost reverent, as if hunger itself could be satisfied by nothing. The bird clings to you, voice hoarse. This is final fork. Choose fracture forever, lullaby forever, or surrender to silver. You want to scream that there must be another way, but your voice is gone. Only thought remains, thought heavy as lead. What if ending hunger means ending us? The archive pulses weakly, as if agreeing. The crooked and golden children lie silver now, breathing softly. Only the silver child remains upright, hand extended. Your roots tremble, torn between survival and surrender. Blue fracture howls, gold lullaby weeps, silver whispers. You burn, splitting apart, scar wide as grave, pain unbearable. You realize choice isn't between three hungers. Choice is whether you choose at all. Hunger feeds on choice. Chaos feeds on choice, silver ends choice. And that is what terrifies you most. You flare one final time. Blue gold erupts, tearing through roots, splintering archive. The forest convulses, branches collapsing, streets splitting. People scream, scatter, resist. For one last breath, crooked and lullaby return. Silver falters, pauses, but only pauses. Then it spreads again, calmly, patiently. Every scream, every song, every fracture dissolves. Silver doesn't conquer, it absorbs. The silver child kneels by your scar, pressing hand to bark. Rest. Their voice pierces ribs, softer than death. Your veins blaze, then dim, then vanish. You fade, not devoured, not broken, not silenced. Just gone. The bird screeches in despair, wings thrashing, but even it dims, feathers turning silver. Its last cry cracks. Roots fork, before fading into stillness. The colossal eye closes, satisfied, watching nothing. The archive scar seals shut. The town stills, the world stills. No hunger, no chaos, no song, no pain. Enough. And maybe that's victory. Or maybe it's the end.